everybody. I've just put this microphone on. You will get to know me, and I have a very loud voice, so I generally don't need a microphone. But I've put it on because we're recording, because we have some students who couldn't be here today, and we also have quite a large cohort of international students as well. So just before we get started, we're just going to hand around, there's an attendance sheet and also like a COVID check-in sheet. So just because it was taking quite a long time to get you all in the room, we thought it would be quicker just to hand those around. So if you haven't already, can you please make sure that you've ticked your name off on the attendance sheet and also put your details on the COVID contact tracing sheet as well. That would be great. So welcome to the physiotherapy orientation. As is the practice of Flinders University, we begin by acknowledging the Indigenous peoples of this country. And in particular, we acknowledge the Kaurna people, the traditional owners of the lands and waters of the region on which Flinders University sits. I would also like to acknowledge all of you in the room and all of you who may be watching this later online, and the different cultural backgrounds that you bring with you into our physiotherapy program. And as I said, this year we're really excited to have a large cohort of international students. So we're going to have representation from North America, India, Sri Lanka, Asia. Who have I forgotten, Matt? Korea, Taiwan, Ireland. Yeah. So we are going to have a really rich cohort of diverse students, which is really fantastic. So welcome. So my name's Associate Professor Lucy Lewis. I am the academic lead for the physiotherapy program here at Flinders. And I just wanted to very quickly, before we get started on all of the nitty-gritty information, welcome you to our program and just talk to you briefly about what we think are some of the strengths of our program. So physiotherapy at Flinders has been running since 2012. And I think we can really officially say we are no longer the new kids on the block. So traditionally, physiotherapy in South Australia was only ever at one institution. So most of your teaching staff here, we all studied at UniSA, because that was the only place that you could do physio in Adelaide. Up until Flinders started a program in 2012. And then this year, most of you probably know that Adelaide University is starting a Bachelor of Physio, not a Master's program. So we now have 3 universities in our state offering physio. And that's a common trend Australia-wide and globally, really, that many new physio programs are starting up. So yes, we're no longer the new kids on the block. I would say we're actually pretty established. We have a fantastic program, and we like to think that we're quite different from the other programs in Adelaide. So we think the things that set us apart is we have a really strong focus on contemporary clinical practice. So once you get to know your teaching staff, and I know Matt is going to introduce most all the teaching staff who are here today a bit later on, and we've also got a slide with our photos on there. You might find that, you will find that not everyone will be here today, and the reason for that is because the majority of our staff work part-time, and it's annoying when we have to organise meetings, but actually it's a real strength of our program, because the majority of our staff, 70% of our staff, work concurrently as senior physiotherapists out in the clinical setting. So we have staff working in extended scope emergency department at Flinders Medical Centre. We have staff working in private practices, in senior musculoskeletal positions, in health services, just to name a few. So contemporary clinical practice and up-to-date teaching staff is a real advantage of studying with us in our program, and something that we're really proud of. The other strengths of our program is that we have a very strong focus on leadership, and that will start from now, from today. So over the next 2 years, you'll hear and learn and be asked to demonstrate, communication and leadership skills. We also have a strong focus on interprofessional practice, and I know those of you who have come through the double degree here at Flinders might feel like you've already had quite a lot of interprofessional practice, but now is the time to actually start applying that in the Masters. We also focus on chronic condition self-management, which is quite a different philosophy to some other physiotherapy programs. And the other thing is we're really building our exercise, the amount of exercise that we are exposing our students to within the physiotherapy degree. So all of you will have the opportunity, I'm probably stealing some of your thunder, Matt, sorry, to have a level 1 sports trainer, Sports Medicine Australia qualification as part of your first year physio degree, first year masters I should say, and we're looking at more opportunities for how we can get you involved in sports and exercise as part of clinical placements, etc. I think they're the main things I wanted to talk to you about. So I'm going to hand over to Matt, but welcome, and I might come and have morning tea with you a bit later on. Over to you, Matt.
Thanks, Lucy. Okay, so I'm Matt Sutton. So I'm the course coordinator of the program. So I'll be your sort of point of contact. What I might do is I've got a few things that might sort of segue better into my role and the other staff's role around here. But first of all, well, I've said welcome a few times, but I'll say a few more as well. Certainly like to welcome you to the program. We're really excited to have you all on board. We've had a lot of interesting experiences from last year, and we're really looking forward to having a fresh start for this year. The other thing that's really exciting is that we've been able to develop and implement some fairly innovative sort of teaching strategies due to last year, and so a lot of those have been carried over into this year. So we really think that that there's going to be a lot of new sort of elements to your teaching for this year. First thing I'd like you to do, if it works, because last year this fell horribly flat, but I'm pretty confident. I've given it a trial run this morning. I'd like you guys, in your tables, to, no matter what I do, I can't make the SMS thing work. That ain't going to happen. So can you, you can do it on your phone. One of the few times we're very happy if you get your phones out. Get your phone out. But in a group, only one, because the other thing is, I want you to do it as a group. Just let one person at your table who's going to submit your responses. So have a chat for a few minutes, figure out what the consensus is. Bear in mind, as soon as you press enter, you have submitted your response. So if you want to put in a few different comments or words or statements, separated by a comma or something like that before you press enter or go or whatever it is. So if you can log into pollev.com, enter my name, Matt Sutton, 945. I can't believe it's 9:45 being on Pollev, but there you go. And answer that question. What are you looking forward to? What's the first thing you guys are thinking of looking forward to moving ahead into the program? Have a chat. Feel free to, we're not streaming live, are we? If you can't make it work, just let me know. I'll come over and sort it out. I reckon there's heaps of people that haven't either ticked their name off or put their name on here. Haven't set it up that way? Why? All right, let's see if it worked. Let's see what you reckon. Hands on. That's it. Big placements, cool. More practical work and clinical placement. Placement's a fairly common theme. Yeah, it's great. Not doing it online, yeah. I bet we're all pretty sick of online, aren't we? Trust us, we're fairly over teaching online. The stuff that we don't need to teach anyway. Hands on learning. Just get hands on being up. Nice work getting all that in. Hands on previous knowledge, applying previous, I like it, and new technology, new techniques, and we're learning new technologies actually. You're going to meet lots of new people. Oh yes, good work. Plus, we're learning about specific interests here. So there's going to be a whole range of opportunities around specific. Fantastic. So yeah, placements are certainly a really strong part of the program. We'll talk a bit more about the program structure, and Claire will talk to us shortly about your placements, being prepared, etc. But certainly the majority of placements are going to be in second year. In fact, most of your second year will be placement. You will get some placement experience throughout this year, but again, we'll talk about that more shortly. It's great that people are looking at being interested in working in different areas. You're going to be working in a whole range of areas on placements and obviously the content that we teach you. And having that rural focus as well is fabulous. And again, if sort of looking at trying to develop specific interests in your clinical area is a really nice thought as well. You don't want to sort of just head off in one single direction. I only want to do women's health and that's all I'm interested in, for example. But certainly if that's something that you are interested in, then let us know. Talk to us about it and we will do whatever we can to cultivate it. We can't always guarantee we're able to do so, but certainly if there are certain interests that you have, we really love hearing that. We really love hearing people enthusiastic about their placement and their professional careers, how they see them heading off into it, and we're always keen to do what we can to help facilitate that. So thank you for indulging me with that. I'm going to ask you to indulge me with another one. What are you worried about? This is the last one. Same story, guys. A few minutes, have a chat. What are you worried about? What's the first thing you're thinking about? All right, guys, let's see what we got. Workload, yes. Good thing to be worried about. Contact hours, clinical sim, placements, everything. Outbreak, yeah, that's, yeah, so are we. Don't even spare time. Timetabling and scheduling in a way that makes it difficult to manage part-time work, yes. Placement. workload unit, getting the balance right, definitely. So workload and there's certainly, I think it's finding a way work-life balance. Exams, studying again, yeah, it's been so long. Although for some of you it's probably been quite a long time, to be fair. Some of you have probably had a few years out, if not longer. You bring past knowledge, yeah, practical exams, balancing, yeah, the whole work-life stuff. Managing workload, machine knowledge and workload. Again, good, nice insight, guys. Certainly the workload is a step up from what you've probably had in the past, or no doubt what you've done in your bachelor degrees. The master's program is a noticeably big step up in the amount of workload you will be undertaking, and so it's really good to acknowledge that now. It's certainly not unmanageable. You will manage it. Everyone pretty much does manage it. It's just that you need to make that adjustment. You need to, I'm listening to the power of habits actually, so you need to do something about your habits. But you're all very clever people. You wouldn't be here otherwise. You'll be able to manage your workloads. If, however, you do have concerns, you've got lots of support around you as well. And again, we'll talk to you more about the support networks that you've got in place from the staff alone, but there's going to be other strategies as well, mentoring, student associates. So there's going to be a range of different support networks. I guess it's because we don't have a lot of the internationals on board this time, but I remember one of the big things that people worried about getting lost. There were lots of people worried about getting lost, so that only seemed to be sort of popping up in a lot less frequently. I mean, one person, it's not one group. But that's good because you will be able to find your way pretty easily, certainly first year. So yeah, thank you again. That's practical exams actually. Just probably worth mentioning. They are terrifying the first time round, particularly if you've never done it before. There's no sugarcoating it. They are pretty anxiety provoking. We appreciate that, and we do again whatever we do a fair bit of work preparing you for that. And so again, if you feel as though that you're not prepared, or if there's more support you feel like you require, you just let us know. And again, we'll talk to you about the strategies you can use to communicate those sort of things to us. But your practical exams are a necessary part of the program, and they will do a really good job of preparing you for practice. But they're fairly tough, but you'll get through them. Okay, now I think that's all I'm going to ask you guys to do. Let's have a look at what the timetable looks like. For today, hopefully I'll be able to finish by 10 o'clock, and then we'll have Claire, Dr. Claire Baldwin, over there. Thanks, Claire. We're just going to talk to you about clinical placements. We're then going to have morning tea. I'm still working on whether or not we've got some coffee vouchers. I don't know if that's a thing or not. But either way, we're going to get out of this room and come back at about 11 o'clock. We're going to do, Tracy's going to run her special staff bingo, meet and greet. And then we're going to have a few people talking to you guys. We're going to have some student reps going to talk to you from final year cohort. And they're going to talk to you about a range of things. I'll leave them for them to tell you what they're going to talk about. We're going to have the APA, the Australian Physiotherapy Association, are going to come here, their representative from the SA branch, going to talk to you about being a member as a student member of the APA. And we've got the Student Association Board Group coming to talk to you as well about other opportunities within the Student Association outside of just the physio-specific ones that Victoria and Jordan are going to talk to you about. We're going to have lunch. We're going to have lunch catered. I'm a bit worried because my caterer hasn't contacted me. But
so can they not be having?
We might not be. Well, you're going to have lunch, but hopefully you don't have to get it yourself. So we're planning a catered lunch. After that, we're going to have we get your photo, but we need you to sign forms to say that you're okay with using your photo. All the photo is so we get to know you. We can put names to faces. We don't use it for marketing. If we do any marketing type stuff, that's done by another department at the university, and that's a different process altogether. So it's just so we can put your photos on a name board and put the names to faces. We do a little tour of the facilities. A lot of you have already sort of been up through the labs, but Andy will be here and sort of show you about some bite lockers and other things that might be useful to know about if you don't already. Tracy's going to talk to you about our mentoring program, fabulous program. Again, I'll let Tracy talk to you more about that. I get to finish off on this lovely work health and safety spiel. We need to do it on sort of face-to-face. It's part of the requirements of the university, but it'll be over and done with pretty quickly. And so that's pretty much the program. So hopefully we should be done and dusted by 3 o'clock. I know a couple of you have been in touch with me, said you've got some commitments around that 3 o'clock time. That's fine if you need to go a little bit earlier. Okay, again, welcome. So this is you're the 10th year or the 10th intake. I haven't got photos of all the other cohorts, but there's some of them. And most of those photos are actually taken where most of these guys have graduated from, which is the REPAT site. So up until 2019, or end of 2018, our program was based at REPAT General Hospital, which is down at Door Park on Dawes Road there. I'm sure a lot of you know where that is. And so we were basically there with the occupational therapy program. So it was just the 2 of us. And then for the beginning of 2019, we moved to Sturt, and Sturt's actually been a really positive, that's been a positive step. We've got a lot more resources at our disposal, and it's just a lot more of a sort of communal environment to be working in. So yes, 10th, we're hitting double figures. Put a map up. So just to give you a bit of context for those of you that haven't been to Flinders University before. So what does this look like? This looks like all of Flinders. So Flinders is actually a massive campus. And so we have 2 main campuses at Flinders University. Well, in this geographical location, we have 2 main campuses. That is Flinders University. Flinders University has something like 9 campuses scattered around. We've got one in the city, we've got one up in NT, we've got them sort of up in the Riverland. They're sort of scattered around all over the place. However, we've got 2 main campuses sort of at this broad location. We've got the Sturt campus, which is where you guys are. Sturt campus was originally just a nursing campus, Sturt College of Advanced Education. But it's obviously now the College of Nursing and Health Sciences. And so that's the Sturt campus. And then we've got the main campus, which is, so Sturt campus looks like this thing here. We're down here, that's Sturt Road, heading up Shepherd's Hill Road there. So that's where we are, and we're sort of somewhere around about here. And all of this up here is the main campus. And so that's where the Flinders Hub is, that's where the main library is. I mean, you never need to go up there if you don't want to, but they've got all the nice restaurants and, you know, they've got some, I think they've got some scooters you can cruise around in if you want. But they've got a big lake. It's certainly well worth a look.
It's a really nice beautiful too.
It's
and
a beautiful walk. It is a great walk.
The environment is gorgeous.
I didn't mean to come across as though don't go up there.
It's actually, while we're very happy here,
Yeah.
the main campus is
lovely.
actually very attractive. The hub is gorgeous. There's always stuff going on, and there's local coffee shops and things up there than there are down here.
And it's a 10-minute walk across the
10-minute
bridge.
walk, yes, and even the walk across the gorge is gorgeous.
Yeah, so it is a lovely walk. We've had a go do it. Everyone last time.
If you haven't been here before, you should do it at least once.
But we've got, yeah, so there's a nice new bridge that's been built last year to get you over there, over the pine forest. So yeah, it's well worth a look, but maybe when you're just sort of looking for a bit of an explore. There's actually some nice bike riding trails through here, interestingly enough, which you're only kind of meant to use. But if you like that sort of thing, that's really nice. There's really good walking trails through there as well. Although there's big snake signs.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep moving on. And this here is Flinders Medical Centre. So this is the hospital. There is some university programs there. So, for example, dietetics, nutrition dietetics are over there. Speech path are over there. And so, but that's obviously where most of you, if not all of you, will have at least one placement at the medical centre. There's also the rehabilitation aged palliative. That's what RAP is. So the old repat site, that service is now largely at this site as well, the brand new building. And again, a lot of you will have an opportunity to work there. Anyway, that's the big context of Flinders University as a whole. The Sturt campus is just this bit here, and so, as I say, all your teaching, or most of the teaching, is going to be held just here at Sturt campus. And there's maps everywhere, they're pretty easy to Google. And then if we go a little bit finer detail, Sturt West is where most of your teaching, certainly the physiotherapy stuff, will be done. And so we'll show you where this is. This is a photo of our lab. We're in Sturt South, Sturt South level 2. We're going to head Sturt West level 4 is where you're going to be. And that's where all our offices are as well. But easy to find. And this is us. So this is everyone. You've met Lucy, you've met me, and we've got Jill Garnett, who's your neurological. You're going to meet most of these guys today. Jill Timms in musculoskeletal. Tam has just started with us. We're really excited. So Tam as a neurological physiotherapist. Jill Williams, you'll meet later today. She teaches in musculoskeletal. She's also developing some paediatric placements for us all. Claire, you'll meet shortly in more detail when she does a presentation today. Tracy, you've met. Belinda Lang is the technology lead for the Caring Futures Institute. So Belinda is sort of leading our technology we're developing working parties. So Belinda's leading that. We've got Matt Pryor. Matt's on the MUS team. Matt's also, unfortunately, it hasn't sort of come to fruition with COVID, but Matt is the lead physio for the, what do they call them? There's some sort of ooze. So there's the junior Socceroo team, so the national Socceroo team, so elite sport Matt works with. We've got Robin, who is our regional rural health coordinator and lecturer, and Alex, who you will definitely meet later today. He teaches, again, in the MUSC and orthopaedic realm. As Lucy mentioned, most of us work clinically as well, and please feel free to come and have a chat with us during the meet and greet session, and we can talk to you more about what we do when we're not here, professionally or otherwise. I don't think I talk about the other roles. So within each, I should mention there are 4 specific sort of roles within the program that you should be aware of. So Lucy is academic lead. So as academic lead, Lucy is responsible for ensuring that the quality of the program is adequate, it meets accreditation standards, essentially. So making sure that our program has a tick of approval from the Australian Physiotherapy Council. And so there's obviously minimum quality standards that need to be met as part of that, and it sounds not too hard, but in actual fact, it's a really challenging and onerous job. And so Lucy's largely responsible for that, and working with our industry partners as well. My role is more around internally, sort of managing the actual course itself, looking at the topics, how it all works together as course coordinator. We've got Tracy is our student experience coordinator. Tracy's going to have an opportunity to, oh no, we've changed it, haven't we? Student engagement coordinator. And so Tracy will have an opportunity to talk more to you about what that means from your perspective. But so Tracy's role obviously is essentially communicating with you guys, is a point of contact for you to come to Tracy, and if you've got any concerns around how your program of studies is going, or a range of other things that, again, Tracy will talk to you a little bit more about. And the 4th role is Claire's role, which is the placement experience, not placement experience, what's the E? Education, it's written up there. Placement education coordinator, yes. And she'll be talking to you shortly. All right, that's all of us. Program aims. So if you look at the website, this is what it will tell you, and it is certainly something that we believe strongly in. These aims were reviewed 2 years ago. It's something that we look at routinely to ensure we are doing everything we can to meet these aims. And so Obviously, connectedness is something that we feel very strongly about, ensuring that you are connected with industry, connected with the community. As we talked about a lot, most of the teachers here work in clinical practice, and so we have already got strong links with private, public, acute rehabilitation facilities. And so we recognise how important it is to have that connectedness. You're going to be working across a range of healthcare settings, or have the capacity to do so. So we'll be teaching you in a whole range of clinical areas. And we have been developing our cultural awareness, our cultural responsiveness content within the program, and that is something that we are continuing to work with and we'll be talking to you about throughout the next 2 years. Professionally engaged with colleagues and health professions, development of contemporary health professionals, we're being reflective learners. So again, we recognise that there's no point in just trying to teach you everything about physiotherapy, because we can't do that. What we can do is teach you how to find out the requisite knowledge, because it's such a massive area. And it's an area that we are recognising more and more is not so much the old anatomy, physiology stuff that's important, or is certainly important, but what is just as important is the psychosocial aspect of healthcare. And so we're still working at developing that content, but it's something that, as I say, we're trying to equip you with the skills in order to treat people as a whole rather than just for their knee pain. And as Lucy mentioned, things like the chronic condition self-management program will help equip you to do that. And obviously the aims have been developed to meet the APC requirements, as I've talked about before, because if they don't, we don't get accredited and you don't get registered. Some of the highlights, Lucy did talk to some of these earlier. The Health to Go clinic, this is in no particular order. I don't think that this is my sort of preference of things that I reckon are the highlights. This is just a range of things. The Health to Go student clinic, some of you will probably be aware that we have a student clinic down at Health to Go. It's a high quality clinic. We've got 3 clinical rooms, consulting rooms. It operates like a private practice, and we're developing that. We've got access to a gym, limited access to a gym, but we're increasingly looking at opportunities to focus on more of our exercise therapy components within that facility. And so our aim is to have all of you rotate through it, at least in some role, through that clinic. The clinic is supervised by all of the academic staff here. So we teach the content and we also supervise you there as well. In professional practice, again, as Lucy alluded to, you've had a reasonable amount of content. What we're trying to do is work at how you're going to put into clinical practice. So you're going to be doing case study, IPP. We've got IPP clinics and professional practice clinics in Health to Go that not all of you will attend, but certainly if it's something you have an interest in, let us know and we can prioritise you to get in there. We are rural remote health focus. Every one of you will undertake at least one placement in rural or remote regions. If it's something that you are really interested in and want to do more than one, again, that's something that you can talk to us about, and we'll see if we can accommodate that. Lucy mentioned the sports trainer accreditation. For those of you that aren't a level 1 sports trainer accredited, within the program, in the first year, even last year we managed to do it, even with COVID. The content provides you with the knowledge and skills to be accredited as a level 1 sports trainer. And so we have a license to teach that. And around the end of the year, what will happen is that you'll be asked if you want to join and become a level 1 sports trainer. and there's still a small, relatively small cost. It's half the cost of what it would normally be if you were to do it through SASMA. But we'll talk to you a lot more about that later. Chronic condition self-management, you're doing second year. It's part of your health promotion topic. And that's a fabulous program that's conducted through Flinders, through the education department. And so you'll all be accredited in the Flinders Chronic Condition Self-Management Program. Again, a really well-regarded program. Tracy will talk to you about your peer mentoring program. So we'll look at having second years mentoring you guys. Again, Tracy will talk to you more about it. Clin Sim, and we've got the college labs as well. So there's some really high fidelity. So we've got areas, if you haven't seen them, in the college labs that look like a hospital ward, essentially. You go in, they've got proper hospital beds, oxygen, everything. You're there, basically. And so they're used to help, again, get you ready for your clinical placements. And this year we've started doing some virtual reality teaching. This is from just last week in the labs at level 4, where there's some virtual reality teaching around. Sort of, this is someone in their kitchen environment, and they're working through post-stroke, how they're going to manage back at home, actually in the clinic. And so we've got we've got 2 main working parties at the moment. So we've really had a strong focus on trying to develop our cultural component within the program, which we've developed working parties last year. We're in the implementation phase of that. We've got 2 working parties this year on exercise therapy, how we incorporate exercise therapy throughout the program as effectively and to maximise it, and also information technology. How do we implement technology into the program as best as possible? And so this is an example of that. The academic year plan. So all of the following slides will be in your handbook. So don't feel like this is the only opportunity you get to see these. And also on the course information page, on the flow course information page. So this is what your year is going to look like, your first year. You guys, have I not updated cohort 10? Does it say cohort? It does say cohort 10. So you guys are here. Oops, sorry. And so we're in orientation week, and so the green are your teaching blocks. You get a week's break around 30th of April, 12th of April. Teaching program goes as it did for the Bachelor, 12 weeks of teaching, week of revision, and exam week. The thing to keep in mind, though, is that the teaching calendar year is not the same as the university calendar year. We start at the same time, but we finish the semester a lot sooner, and we finish it sooner, we start the next semester a lot sooner. So we only have one week of mid-semester break. You'll get effectively 2 weeks of break at the middle of the year, that end of June type period. You'll only be doing one of those CP1 blocks that are there in yellow, either on the 14th, week of the 14th or 21st of June, and then you'll have another week off. So you get 2 weeks off at the middle of the year, and then we're back into it. Again, mid-semester break. And the reason why we do that is because we need to get finished everything by around November. We've got to finish all the accessible stuff by end of October, because you're going to be doing your first 5-week placement block in November, finishing something in December. So greens, teaching content, yellows, placement content. Key dates, well, I'm not going to run through all of them. Again, they're in the handbook. I guess the key dates, the things that I would like to alert you to are there's a census date and there's a withdrawal without fail date. And they're not always the same. And the other thing is they often vary between one topic and another. And so there's a withdrawal without fail date which means you can withdraw from a topic and you won't get a fail grade with that topic. It'll be a withdraw, not fail. The census date is the date at which, if you withdraw after, you're going to have to pay your fees for. So I reckon that the census date for most of your first semester topics is the 26th of March. Now, it's not going to apply to probably any of you, but just so you're aware, because it's not something, certainly in this room, people don't withdraw once they start, historically. But you need to be aware of your options, and the census date's the date that you need to withdraw prior to in order to not attract fees. And the withdrawal without fail date, I'm pretty confident, is after the census date. You need to look up the topic details on the web and it will clearly tell you those two dates. So if you're thinking about withdrawing for any reason, look up the topic rule on the web. Other key dates are fairly talking about breaks and exam weeks, etc., etc. That'll all be there. This program will be available, this PowerPoint will be available for you to look at, but this is also available in the handbook, which hopefully you will got. First year of study, this is you guys. First semester, musculoskeletal practice 1 is a 9-unit topic, so that's a double topic, which is why you've got you've got 3 hours of lectures equivalent and 4 hours of practical per week for that topic. PMF and professional practice are both 4.5-unit topics. So that's why we've only got 3 subjects, or we call them topics here. It's just subjects is the same thing. That's where you've got only got 3 is because the MUSC 1 is double. That's the same in second semester. Your musculoskeletal practice 2 is double. It's a 9-unit topic. I probably don't need to say much more about that because you should have access to the flow sites for each of those topics as of now or as of yesterday. And so if you're looking for further detail, your first port of call is going to be on the flow site, and each of those flow sites, pretty much the first module you see, should have an introductory lecture to it, or at least some introductory information. And that will be able to provide you with, you get started sort of information. But again, if you've got any questions, just ask us, please. What else? Probably don't need to say much more about that. If you've got any questions at any stage through it, let me know. Secondary study, as I mentioned, is largely your placements. So we've got 2 main topics which are purely placement, practicum 1 and 2, in first and second semester respectively. You've also got your neurological physiotherapy teaching. That is just about to wrap up for the second years as we speak. So you will start next year in the middle of January, middle to end of January, doing your neurological teaching to get you ready in time to get your placements up and running. So next year you'll start in January. So you'll also be doing your health promotion content at this time of year. So it'll look quite different next year. Then you've got, as I say, you're going to have 4 5-week blocks of placement throughout the year. And then you've got complex case and a research in practice topic in second semester. The timetable, you've got your timetable. Sorry, it doesn't really fit part-time. It doesn't fit much actually, other than coming in here and studying. But there is some, I think you've got a Wednesday. Wednesday's not a bad day. I think Wednesday's okay. Wednesday, it's not a great day for work though, is it? Anyway, so it's generally Monday to Friday. At this stage, it looks like you've got Wednesday off. There may be some additional classes. So, for example, I know for musculoskeletal, we've got a gym session organised for you guys, just as a one-off. And so, again, it'll be timetable, but just be mindful that there will be some one-off teaching sessions. We give you as much notice as we can for them. Sometimes it's going to be out of our control. If anything like last year happens again. So what I'm saying is keep abreast of the announcements, look at your timetable, because what will happen is the topic coordinator, so the person in charge of the subject or the topic is called the topic coordinator, they will put out an announcement to say, Matt's sick, he can't do the lecture, the practicals this week. we're going to have to double up next week. Hopefully you won't say that, but anyway, it'll be good to know if that's what happened. And so there'll be announcements. You'll get those announcements by notification by email, ensuring you are tick the right box. Generally it's defaulted to it, but if you're not getting any emails about announcements around course information or the topics specifically, let one of us know and we'll sort it out.
Matt,
Yes?
can I just add in there that everybody needs to make sure they're using their Flinders University email. Do not use your personal email. We will not get those messages. We won't answer them. Okay, so make sure your flow announcements are going to your Flinders email, and any communication you have with staff needs to go through your Flinders email.
Thanks, Tracy. For the microphone, I'll just repeat it. But as it's worth repeating, although people are getting really good at this. But yeah, please use the Flinders email. Sometimes they go to junk. If you don't, hotmails often go to junk. But either way, you're now physiotherapy students at Flinders University. The communication is via your Flinders email account, please. There's also an expectation that you'll have independent skills practice for the practical component, practical-based topics, and so we've got the room available for you to do that. The lab room up on level 4 will be available for you to do that. That's what the timetable looks. Again, you know what it looks like. You don't have to do all of those sessions. For example, there on the Tuesday afternoon, you only need to do one of those musculoskeletal practical sessions, and that's what we've got Group 1 and Group 2 for. Wednesdays are off. Now, it's probably worth just reiterating again, I don't think I should say again, I should tell you for the first time, that lectures largely are going to be online. Now, most of those lectures are going to be pre-recorded. However, there will be some sessions that will be requiring you to be there real time. There will be some workshops or tutorials based type of content in some of those lectures. Again, your topic coordinator will communicate that with you in plenty of time for you to be able to attend. However, so for example, if we look at musculoskeletal practice on a Tuesday at 9 o'clock, that lecture time, that will be most of the time a pre-recorded lecture. So you don't actually need to be there at 9 o'clock watching the lecture because it's going to be there available for you. You do, however, have to watch it prior to the practical that follows up, because the lecture content will nearly always be directly related to the follow-up practical or tutorial content. So you can't just save up all your lecture recordings to watch at the end of the week. You need to watch the lecture content before your practical. Again, the topic coordinator will make that, will re-emphasise that point. We've never, other than last year, which was very different in the way that we delivered our lecture content. This is the first time we are delivering such a big range of content online. And so there may be some bumps in the road in how that's delivered. If there are, again, let us know. If you can't access them or there's any other issues, please talk to us, because this is the first time we've done it like this. All right, I need to wrap up. I've only got a couple of things to talk about. I think second semester timetable's fairly distant.
Is it worth also just mentioning that?
Oh, sorry, I thought you
Oh no, I wasn't.
wanted me out.
I wanted you out. That would have been really rude.
I thought it would have been appropriate. I wouldn't have taken it the wrong way.
We have, is it 20 international, 19 international?
We've got, at this stage, 19.
Yeah, and so just, I guess, letting everybody know like what will be happening with them, because they might come across each other in the online, some of the online.
Yeah, sorry, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
So obviously you're aware of the current situation around restricted travel. What that's meant is we've got a fairly large number, well, a significant number of international students, and welcome to you guys out there again, that are unable to get here. And so we're looking at delivering them some a slightly alternative teaching program. Obviously you guys don't need to be fully aware of what that is. You're welcome to find out if you want. But it's not something we're trying to keep a secret. It's just that you guys have got enough to focus on yourself with your own study plans. But there is certainly these guys that are also very much a part of this program, and we are really hopeful that they're going to join us in the second semester, and so we're hopeful that you guys are going to get to meet a new cohort of international students. As I mentioned, as Lucy mentioned, at this stage we've got 19 that we're hoping are going to be able to get here. In terms of how we want you to learn, as we mentioned, it's a critical reflection. We really don't, we don't expect you to know everything. And we know that you're all really intelligent people, and we know that you're used to getting everything right. You're not going to get everything right, and that's fine. We don't expect you to get everything right, but we want to know what you don't know. And it's really important for you to fail, certainly throughout the year, in our practical opportunities, in our workshop, in these opportunities where you get time to do some work and talk to us about how you've done. It's really hard and it's scary and it's you need to be courageous to do it, but this concept of failing forward is really important to us. We want to know what you don't know, and we want you to learn, and we want you to develop. And the only way you're going to do that is if we can figure out how best to teach you. It's very goal focused. In other words, we need you at the end of your 2-year journey to be physiotherapists, not in 6 months' time. And so we're working towards that final goal. We do lots of problem-based learning, and we're looking at trying to, in a world in which we're getting so many different messages from so many different platforms, it's really important to be able to identify what are the valid forms of information to help inform you as a professional physiotherapist. And so we're really focused on trying to help you with that. There's an emphasis on master's level learning. I've got an activity, I'm going to skip through this because I am running late. Difference between master's level learning and bachelor degree learning: essentially you are all on a master's program now. What that means is that there is a greater focus on critical reflection, a greater focus on skills for research, so being able to disseminate information from those reputable sources, to be able to synthesise complex information. So it's not our job to give you the 5 key points on how to treat a knee. Our job is to provide you with the information and a source for you to put together and come up with how you're going to manage a knee. So there is a level of complexity that we ask of you as part of being a master's level student. There's a number of ways in which we seek feedback from you. Obviously, the student evaluation of teaching is formal, but there's lots of other ways. We've got anonymous feedback platforms in each flow site, which you're very welcome to complete. If you do so, please be constructive. We do lots of formative type activities in the form of quizzes, in the form of workshops. In the practical sessions, we ask you to demonstrate your techniques. We have student representatives that are going to be, Tracy will talk to you a bit more about, but you have student representatives, again, that will be a forum in order for us to hear some feedback from you. We get employer satisfaction, we canvass employers formally and informally around what we're doing well, what we need to improve on, and we also survey recent graduates to see how they fare in their first year out and what we did well, and again, what we could do better. Whole heap of policies. We're a university. We will drown you in policies if you really want. Essentially, however, if there are things that are probably fairly important for you to be aware of in terms of policy, is there's stuff around both academic integrity, so ensuring that your work is your own, etc., etc. You'll have a big talk about that, I'm sure, throughout the week. Social media policy, it's really important, obviously, to ensure that whatever you're putting out there, you would be happy to do so as a professional physiotherapist. Our grading system is largely around, we favour grades, not marks. So in other words, you'll get a grade of anywhere from a fail to a high distinction. Not many fails, but anyway, you're not going to get a 30, you're not going to get a 78, for example. You're going to C grades, not marks. Appeals and complaints, if there's any concerns, again, talk to probably Tracy or myself if you've got any concerns around any processes that we're following. You're all registered as student physiotherapists with APRA. You need to be so you are actually registered. It allows you indemnity for professional placements. It allows you to register with the Australian Physiotherapy Association. Student Learning Centre, have you guys had any talk about that? I suspect you will. It's basically, it's probably more for the guys that are just commencing studies, but if you have any concerns or any about how you're going about study, if you can't focus, if you can't get a study plan together, these guys can help you do that. But it's sort of a bit more of the fundamentals, transitioning from school to university. We have the Health Counselling and Disability Service. Again, on all of our flow sites, you will see a link to this service. And so if you have the university has a really comprehensive health and counselling service that you can access really easily, and I strongly encourage you to do so if you feel you need to. There's great Gareth Ferbers, just this wonderful, wonderful fella, psychologist, that has put together an incredible amount of really awesome resources. I highly recommend you subscribe to his blogs. He works for the university full time, and he's got, this is just an example of one of the resources that he provides, and I strongly, strongly recommend you follow up with those links and have a look. Student reps we'll talk about more, but we need at least 2 student reps from you guys. The process by which we elect them, we'll talk to you about shortly. The main thing is you're going to meet up with myself and or Tracy throughout the year at least 4 times. And you're also going to help us with some other events like Course Advisory Committee or whatever they call them these days, CQAGs, and other events. It's a really good role. I'd really encourage you to put your hand up for it if it's something you are considering. I'll talk back after safety after lunch. We got there. Sorry, I did this last year too. Questions? Any questions about any of that at the moment? I fully appreciate you might just want to have a deep breath. But if you've got anything you'd like to ask at the moment? Yeah.
Just curious about the size of this year's cohort.
So the official number is onshore, the face-to-face 55. And we're looking at around 19 that are starting with us internationally. So we're hoping that we'll have around the we could have up to 74 from the next semester. All right, guys, I'll move straight on. Lucy?
Hopefully everyone's got a coffee voucher. If anyone doesn't have one, just let me know. And then just while Claire's getting her presentation set up, I might just get you, we've got some lollies and water and pens and stuff. So maybe if this group up here wants to just go and look outside and just up here first. When you come back in, you guys can go just to have a stretch before, don't run off anywhere.
Don't go away.
Don't go!
Don't go, yeah. So just come and filter out here and grab what you like. Grab some lollies.
Toilets are just down the corridor. Ready to go. Right down the corridor.
Happy with the lighting?
Oh, it's great. The office got it.
Don't run away, come back
I've heard of it. Yeah, would they? Correct. My suspicion is from standard line,
Yeah, I don't think I'd be like a lot of my my new and you could run them crazy, yeah. Daxon was out here, so there's lolly water, there's pens and merchandise. Yeah, so they were just, it was in a big box and they were meant to bring out chili. So anyways, and then I said, what about coffee vouchers? I said something about coffee vouchers. Hang on a minute, I'll go find out. And she came back in. So I should have come. And then she said that's a discipline like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So will that get delivered here?
No, Tracy and Alex are hopefully picking it up.
Oh, do you know that? Yeah. Oh, where are you picking it up?
Liquid, white chocolate. Just need to make sure that no, the individual, they're going to be individual. I asked her what yeah, and so she reckons that Timetable will be on the market and they're just going to be in trade. But I'm going to give her a call because I heard that she was going
So I get going?
yeah. Just checking up myself.
My dad to go. I'm going to go 5. I'm going to go 5 into the
What do you want?
Yeah, and then I'll take it's not a good choice. Hang on, what'd you say? It's not even. Right, that one. Lovely latte. Sugar. Thanks, Lucy.
Yeah, no, do what you want today. I'll probably just sit out, so I'm going to have to call the catering. Yeah. I'm pretty sure
education coordinator. I suppose when I'm not taking care of clinical placements and the rest of my time, I'm in one of the balanced teaching and research roles, and so aside from coordinating the placement topics and the cardiorespiratory topic you'll do in the second half of this year, and actually coordinating the research topic that you'll do at the end of next year, I'm actually doing research myself. And the work that I like working on is helping some of the most at-risk patients in our hospitals to get moving and to be active, whether it's after some sort of medical condition or surgical procedure. I suppose clinically, I've always worked in acute care hospitals, and I still work part-time over at Flinders Medical Centre, and my area of passion is in cardiorespiratory and specifically in the intensive care unit. So you'll get to hear lots more about that as we get to know each other over the year. But talking more specifically about placements, you've all clearly identified that it's something that you are most excited about, but on the other hand, most petrified about as well. And as we've talked about, I think you've heard some themes this morning about leadership and reflection, and I think that sort of segues and integrates really nicely in there, and that, you know, you are going to be scared about things, but there's going to be things which are really happy and joyful and exciting to see develop in yourselves and in your patients as well. So really what we're looking for, as Nat mentioned, I suppose, is this healthy balance and helping you to set your internal radar of evaluating your own performance and what's going on. So you know what you know, and you know what you don't know, and you can operate safely within that. So hopefully when you're getting that internal sort of feedback from yourself and accurate reflection on how your skill development is going, you know, then it's not as scary when you get that feedback from the team, whether that's from us as your teaching staff in prac exams or with supervisors on clinical placements. It's all meant to work together. You know, we've all got good intentions and good hearts to help you learn and grow to be the best practitioners you can be through that. So there certainly are transformational experiences when you are on placement. Again, it's finally getting to be hands-on and to do things. And it's really a privilege to get alongside the patients and the other healthcare workers and the teams that you'll be working with. You'll get exposed to a whole range of settings, from hospitals to sort of clinics, private practices, community settings, and also you'll see that we have a range of placement providers, which means that you get to sometimes see a little bit of Australia and even just some more parts of Adelaide as well. So it's a real privilege to be on placement and to be able to journey with people you know, in their health journey and in their life. Sometimes seeing people at their most vulnerable, but also seeing the successes and wins that you get to be part of in terms of their therapy and their goals, and looking at treating the whole person. So that's really wonderful. So in terms of the placement experiences, you do sort of graduate from this program as, I suppose, what we would call generalists, which means that our teaching and our placements are really themed around getting you upskilled in some core areas of practice. We broadly talk about these areas as being musculoskeletal, neurological and cardiorespiratory physio, and across the lifespan. So that means that working with children all the way through to older adults. As you've heard in my story, my career has shaped in a way where now I'm mostly working with older adults and cardiorespiratory and acute settings, but there is something to learn across the whole range of breadth of practice the whole way along, and that's what we're skilling you in. So when we talk about the different types of placements, there may be some things that you are really excited about, and there's some things that if you're really honest, you're a little bit fearful of or you're a little bit dreading. But I'll encourage you that there's something to learn in every placement experience, and it will make you a well-rounded therapist at the end. So keep an open mind and look for those broader experiences, even if something's not sitting quite right with you for a particular placement block. Try and look at the positives, what you can learn out of it, and look for the connections for how it can, the transferable skills that you can learn that will still help you along your personal career goals. So you will have placements across all these different areas of practice, but like Matt mentioned, if you do have a particular interest in something, we will do our best to sort of tailor that along the way. But having said that, you'll hopefully find lots of those things and those connections along the way in the types of experiences that we offer anyway. And certainly placements are really transformational and that they can really change who you are and your thoughts about physio. I don't know what you believe about our profession. I suspect even if you've come through as, like a very health-related sort of undergraduate degree, you still might not know the full breadth of what physio does. I just thought I was going to be the physio for the Australian Ballet. Clearly, that is not where my career has gone, but I fell in love and I found all these other examples of practice, and that comes down to the academics and the educators and when you work, your supervisors, and all those experiences will shape that as well. So they're really rich, and I encourage you to, to lap up and take up all those opportunities as you see where your career can take you, and you get prepared for leadership and teamwork, all through the clinical skills that you're doing. So the types of places you can expect to go on placement are in some of our key placement partners, and a lot of them are within the public health or SA health system. So we have placements in our southern region, which covers the Flinders Medical Centre, Noarlunga and Rehabilitation, and some other community services in the southern region. We have placements in the central Adelaide region, which is the Royal Adelaide Hospital, Queen Elizabeth and Hampstead Rehab Centres. We go up to the northern suburbs as well, so around Lyle McEwen and Modbury hospitals. We're involved in sort of the Women's and Children's Network, and a real strength of our program is also the rural connections and placements that we have. So the SA Health in our state is divided up into 6 regional local health areas, and our placements are across all of those areas as well. And we're really lucky to have Robin Gill on our team who directly supports and really helps make those placements happen from there. We're also looking at placements in some private settings in hospitals, and then some other sort of different sort of community and organisations such as Brain Injury SA, Neuromoves, the Multiple Sclerosis MS Society, Novita, for people that are community disability settings, whether that's paediatrics through to adults, and a whole number of aged care providers. So you can see that we really cover off on that breadth of practice really well. Something else that we also really love to be able to provide at Flinders University is also a really strong presence in the Northern Territory as well, and we only see that growing moving forward. So Matt mentioned a whole range of the Flinders campuses, and here they are on the screen. Not that you're going to have placements in all those places, but certainly all these ones here in South Australia. We do have some placements occasionally at Hamilton and Victoria this year, and certainly through the Northern Territory as well. So if you have a particular passion about the NT, we will seek out those opportunities for you. Go to Alice Springs, go to Darwin, some of the other locations up there, and they're really wonderful experiences. If there's a couple of you that want to go, then we'll try and send you together. Do you know what I mean? Like make a 5-week, 10-week trip of it kind of thing. Enjoy life while you're up there and you're doing your placement learning. So that's some of that tailoring that we try and do along the way. We also achieve a lot of our placement sort of learning through our in-house Health to Go clinic, which Matt and Tim and the other Matt and Alex and Jill are the main educators for. But as you see, it's a multidisciplinary clinic, so there's increasing opportunities for interprofessional learning in there, but also for you to essentially operate in that private practice-like setting where you're still treating members of the public, but under the supervision of our team from there. So that's a really great sort of clinic experience that we offer you here. We're also growing a whole range of other different types of placement approaches, and some of those are in paediatrics, and so that will be in development this year, ready for when you hit your main placements next year, is our hope for that. Matt's given you a bit of an overview already about where placements fit alongside your other topic teaching, but looking at it another way, what you have this year is you'll have a 1 week sort of, I say observational, but you know, observational is bad. You want to do stuff when you're there. So you're observing, there's lots to do through observing, but actually being able to hopefully aid and assist a little bit in those placements as well, the physios that you're working with. So it's a 1 week placement, and that placement actually sits within the topic called performance of movement and function. Okay, so that's embedded within that topic. In the second part of this year, you'll do a topic called Physiotherapy Clinical Practice, and again, that's got some face-to-face university teaching. And then you'll have your first 5-week block placement at the end of the year. That sits within that topic. And then next year, you'll have 2 standalone placement topics. So the one in first semester has placements 3 and 4, and then the one in the second half of the year has placements 5 and 6. So altogether, you have 6 placements, spread across your whole degree. Another way of looking at information, I suppose, is these are the sort of, the dates and the structure that we're working towards, or not work towards, what is in place. So the ones highlighted in yellow are the placement blocks that you'll be on this year. So there's that 1 week foundational placement highlighted in the middle there, and then there's your first block placement at the end of the year, and then when we have revised dates and we set up for next year, you'll be rolling through those other blue placement availabilities. Matt showed you the teaching structure before for the year, and yet again, another way to look at that. So you can see where we've got that in the middle of the year for you, there's that CP 1 week. So that's your 1 week foundational placement. And as Matt mentioned, we do work with a bit of flexibility in our teaching timetable, and we will always let you know with the most notice we can possibly give and try and work with you about things that might sit just slightly outside of or push the edges of the timetable a little bit. So for example, what we're looking at this year is potentially having another placement week in that break week. But again, you'll still only do 1 week of placement, but we're just working through as to when you get your break weeks and when you do your placement week through in there. But at this stage, that's when we're hoping you'll all be available to do placement, certainly in the first 2 weeks at least. But again, there might be other life circumstances and things that mean that actually the 3rd week option suits you really quite well. So that's when we try and work with you around that. We do embed a lot of simulation and some other taster sort of sessions around placement activity within topics as well. So we do try and make sure that when you're doing your theory and your classwork with us, that it is very practical, with direct relationship to getting you ready for placement from there. At the end of the year, in November, is when you'll have your placement 2, and then you start early in the year and you have a placement of 3 and 4 here. And then the latter part of the year, you just do 2 of these placement blocks, not all 3. So you'll usually, so you'll have one of those placement blocks off, if you like. But in terms of scheduling, we've got the option to use some different availabilities, which is really important for us in making sure that we can get the best quality and the most diverse placements that that our hospitals and our providers are able to provide. So I think something that's really key about Flinders is our partnerships with our health providers. And you'll hear us talk more and more, and myself talk more and more about these longitudinal placement options. So we're getting an increasing number of placements which are not just 5 days a week, Monday to Friday. They might be 3.5 days a week over 10 weeks. And so again, when you're not on placement, you've got some more downtime rather than these really intense blocks. And so that could suit some of you really, really well. But I'm just flagging that we often do have a little bit of flexibility around some of those placement dates to make sure that we're getting the best experiences for you when you're on placement. And that's what our providers tell us. So if you're with something like Brain Injury SA or the MS Society, they might be clients who perhaps sort of have some progress over a longer period of time. So it's actually more valuable for you to be able to be with and journey with those clients over a longer period of time. So if we're offering longitudinal placement options, it's because that's how you're best going to learn and get exposure to a service and be able to sort of work with clients. So we're looking at sort of maximising that there. So that's the reason for why we have this slightly flexible approach to the blocks, but the majority of things will fit within that schedule. All right, so as I've mentioned, the logistics are that
most of what we do are these 5-week block placements for you throughout the degree. And one part that is really critical of making that happen is what we call compliance. So that's getting everything ready to go on placement. So just like if you start a new job, usually you've got some training and some orientation to do, and you have to make sure that you meet all the checks and balances to be able to operate in the workplace. That's exactly the same as what's going to happen when you do your new graduate, when you're in a new graduate position somewhere. So the compliance things that we're getting you to do are very consistent with the types of training and things that you would do in a job when you're working as a physiotherapist. So part of you are meeting these compliance requirements and getting them done, and they are a little bit arduous. And yes, filling in forms is a little bit frustrating, but just try and keep that end goal in mind. It's a necessary process. Be organised with it. It's part of demonstrating your professionalism exactly as you would do when you've got your job and you're having to meet the workplace requirements of where you're working. And simulation, I think I've mentioned all those other points already, and how supportive the simulation activities we have are to your placement experiences. And simulation is really great because there have been some studies done over time by physios who are really interested in how to maximise placement education and just show just how many skills and how valuable essentially simulated activities that we run here at the university can kind of sort of supplement and almost replace a portion of clinic time. So I guess what we see in terms of taking a strong educational approach is that we have simulation that allows you to have either peers or like work in the college labs where you look like in a hospital environment but not with a real patient. So it's okay if things go wrong because you can time out, you can stop, you can try it again. It gives you a safe environment to practice things ready for when you go on placement, and there's no sort of stopping or time out, you're rolling in real time. So we're really proud of how we scaffold and prepare everything from practical sessions to simulation leading you up to placement. So I know you said you were feeling excited but scared, but let me reassure you that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we've thought through in a lot of detail in our team, exactly how we construct everything in our topics with that placement and then that graduation goal in mind. So that's, we try very hard. That's all going on behind the scenes and relates to the placement activity. So some of the priorities and considerations are, as I've mentioned, about getting you competent and experienced across some core areas. And often you'll be on placements that aren't just focused on one area of practice. And so that's going to be a real skill for you to develop, is to be able to hold your musculoskeletal knowledge next to your neurological knowledge, because you never know what patient's going to walk through the door. So being able to operate across these mixed areas of practice will be really important. And as I've mentioned, some of those longitudinal options, because that's how health services work. And therefore, that's how you work as well, because we're all about being authentic and working as physios do in the real world when you're on placement. We have that strong rural and remote focus of our program, and as I've mentioned and Matt mentioned, you'll be looking to have at least one of your block placements that is in a rural or regional area, and if you want more, let us know. We are very happy to work with that as well, but we think it's a really enriching experience. And there is information on the university website as well about placement support for that in terms of accommodation and things like that. So there are supports along the way to help you get there. And as I mentioned, we have a member of our clinical education team whose role is to directly sort of help point you in the right direction and check in on you when you are in regional areas. And Tracy wants to say?
And the Northern Territory.
Northern Territory, yes. And Tracy's our Northern Territory sort of liaison. I was going to say guru. Guru. Well, Tracy's worked there as well, over her career. So when we do come to allocations, I'm sure you can appreciate that what you see on the surface is just one layer, but actually it's a very complex puzzle of having, of looking at your learning needs, of looking at what the placements can provide, and making sure that everyone gets the required breadth and depth of experience. So when we do ask you for preferences for either types of things you're interested or where you'd like to go, please, this is my sort of my grumpy sort of point, but be aware that they are just preferences. We want to help you. We will do the best we can, but be aware that preferences are just preferences. We will do the best we can to match, and most of the time it will sort of work out, but sometimes you may find yourself in a placement that perhaps wasn't where you thought you'd really like to go. But again, we'd love you to bear with it, talk to us about it if there's extra sort of support you need, to help make that happen. So yeah. All right, so in terms of some other common questions we get about can you continue with paid work during placement, that's not our role to prescribe, so I'm not going to say yes or no, but you did mention in your responses before to Matt that work, life and study balance was a challenge for you. So I just encourage you to be really reflective and practical as you bring that into the equation when you're thinking about whether you'll be able to work on placement. But essentially when you're on placement, it's as if you're timetabled for a full-time job for those 5 weeks. So certainly working in normal working hours from Monday to Friday, generally speaking, will not be possible when you're on those full-time placements. Okay, so you do need to look at the calendar and be aware from that you try and sort of plan and set yourself up around that. And again, if you need other supports from the university, there are structures in place either through Tracy and some of the broader university sort of support systems as well. So I'd say, yes you can, but do be aware of that study load. So try and sort of plan ahead, be on the front foot, think about the stuff that you can do to get ready for placement that makes it easier when you're on placement. And our job is to try and give you as much notice and support to plan as possible so that actually you're in control of your life, you're in control of your study, and you can make those decisions that you need to make to set yourself up for success and to take care of yourself. Can you approach sites that you're interested in placement with? The simple answer is no, but if you have a contact, send it to me and the team will follow it up from there. So all the approaches to placement sites come from us within the placement team. But again, if you've got any ideas or things, particularly if you're from a regional area or or rural area, or you think there's a particular contact we could follow up, by all means let us know and we'll look into that from there. If you have concerns, you can certainly talk to me as the person who's overseeing the placement program. But again, you sort of got Tracy, in her placement in student engagement role as well, and we all work very closely as a team together. So really, if you're concerned, approach the member of academic staff that you think is most appropriate and you feel most comfortable with. So while we've got these roles, we're all here to support you as well. So make sure you use all of us in the team. In terms of preparation, there's plenty of it to do, and it really is key to sort of setting yourself up for success because there's so much to learn on the ground in placement. Working through your topics in a sensible way through semester will really set you up. Yeah, to feeling ready and building your own confidence. Looking forward onto placement. I need to also introduce our placement education support team. So as I've mentioned that I'm sort of overseeing the coordination, but there's actually a whole team of us that work together around placements. And so we have Jill Williams, who is going to presumably turn around the corridor and join us again for morning tea just shortly. And actually Jill was in this role that I'm doing until January this year. So we've got a very highly skilled team around knowing how the placement landscape works. We've got Tracy Radford, Jill Garner, Alex Bond, who's just joined us, will be here for morning tea as well, and Robin Gill. So all of us as a team work individually to support you when you're on placement. So you'll always have a university contact person, usually who's got experience in the area that your placement is operating in, to be able to. Tracy's shaking her head no. Sometimes, but usually, you'll have a member of the team that you can liaise with outside of your supervisor who's with you day to day on the ground. Okay, so we have that support network for placements in place. And then there's our Health to Go team as well. We're supported more broadly at the university by what's called the Work Integrated Learning Team. I suppose WIL is another word for the placements. And we have an administrative support person, Chris Araskog, who helps out with some of the logistics of organising some of the placements, and particularly these compliance things. And I can't emphasise enough about how much you need to read, look and act on emails that come from the WIL team. If you imagine they're coming from me, I just imagine they're coming from all of us. They're really important to respond to. And as Tracy mentioned, using a university email, because that's where they will all go. I mentioned about this compliance issue, that is very important. In fact, it's essential to be ready for placement. And it is a long list, but just chip away at it. And it doesn't take too much brain energy to do. It's just a little bit of time to schedule in. So make sure you get onto that compliance list from there. And it is essential. Essentially, the hard line and the consequence of not meeting compliance requirements is that you will not be allowed to go out on placement. If you don't meet the requirements for a placement site, they're under no obligation to accept you onto placement. and then that has flow-on effects for, well, is another replacement available? When could we reschedule a placement from there? And I know the time frames seem like we're getting organised like really way in advance. We'll often set compliance deadlines, you know, a solid 6 to 8 weeks before placement's due to start. And that's because sometimes things just happen. There needs to be a bit of a buffer period, and in order for the sites to be able to sort of accept a student, they want to see that that's on place. So some of those processes are a little bit out of our control, but that's the background as to why, you know, meeting these compliance dates is really so important. There's one source of truth when it comes to compliance, so you won't see me sort of copying and pasting and putting other information out to you. I'm always going to refer you to the placement compliance page. And as an example of perhaps one of the forms there, but I'll just take you to the website actually and show you that. So you can go through the university websites internally, or otherwise I just Google physiotherapy Flinders compliance in Google and get myself to the page here. And really this shows you everything that you need to be able to do to get ready for placement in terms of compliance. So it's got a whole list of different activities that need to be done down here. As I said, it's not small, but again, this is what we do. Those of us that work in SA Health, we would do this and more every year for our training, just to work as a physio just normally. So it's very consistent with what happens what happens professionally. But at the top of the page, there's also a link to a PDF checklist and links down there. And the main message I have to give you is just follow the instructions. Just do everything methodically. Start ticking everything off the list. Some things are a once-off, form that you complete. Some things you'll have to update annually, which means that this time next year you'll have to update them ready for your second year placements. Some things last for 3 years, which means that they'll cover you for your entire master's degree with us. Some things are like some of the new COVID declarations I think are current for every placement again. So there's a whole different layers in terms of time frames that you go through. But if you go to that site, that's got everything about the detailed compliance information and what you need to do. So I can't encourage you strongly enough to read through and go through all of that. All right, I've got a couple of minutes left. So some of these things take a really long time to do. Some of them I know people of you have already started doing, like some of the online training things, but some things like perhaps some of the police and the police checks could take up to 2 or 3 months to do. Sometimes things are fast, sometimes things are slow. The reality is that once you make your submission, the time frames for something getting acted on moves out of your control. So you need to do what's in your control and submit the forms and do them in good time to make sure that the rest of the process that you can't control how long it takes is going to be done in time to meet the deadlines from there. What you need to do is keep a really good paper record. You can screenshot stuff, download the certificates, just keep a strong paper trail and keep a record of everything you've got. Because some placement sites will want you to turn up on day one with a folder and kind of show you evidence of everything. And some sites will just be happy that, oh yeah, the uni said that they've met them, that's fine. But the onus is on you to keep the records and to keep that documentation.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
If we've already done a police check for a job this year, do we need it to do one again?
My next point was going to be any compliance questions, email the compliance team. And I know that's a bit of a cop-out answer, but the answer is maybe yes, maybe no, because sometimes it's different if you've applied as a volunteer versus a worker. So maybe yes, maybe no, depending on what it is. So if you send it through, again, maybe it's covered, in which case great, but sometimes there might be those nuances about the type of check as well. And all that would mean is that, again, when you're tracking your expiry dates, is that your expiry date will be, you'll be on a different sort of 3-year cycle, if you like, for completing those forms. So, yeah, so not such a straightforward answer, sorry. What you do need to do is not send any compliance stuff to me or Alex or our team. That goes to the placement unit and goes to that compliance team. So that's that Chris Aristotle person from there, and they will upload, sort of keep their records of it while you keep your own record of stuff as well. So we have this generic compliance checklist which gets you ready for most placements, but there will also be some sites that have something a little bit different about how they like things done. So for example, Ashford Hospital has a slightly different arrangement for how you demonstrate that some of your immunisations are up to date. Novita and some of the disabilities sort of NDIS providers sometimes have a slightly different sort of training module or something that they need to do. So while what we suggest you do covers, the majority of things, be aware that there may from time to time be different requirements for different sites depending on where you're allocated. And again, us giving you sufficient notice to be able to do that will help that process, but getting you to act on those little things along the way, which is what the placements require. So as I mentioned, follow all the instructions. And the things that are hardest to meet the deadlines for are probably things like the DHS screening, the criminal history checks, also the SH tuberculosis screening. So at the first point, that's just a little questionnaire you complete, and then it will tell you whether you need to act on that further. So sometimes you complete the questionnaire and there's nothing else to do, but if you complete the screening questionnaire and they say book an appointment, you can see that's where the timeliness comes in about needing to sort of be on the front foot with organising things. Similarly, making an appointment to sort of get the immunisation side of things in order, and there is a certificate that you can use. And remember that there is the GP clinic up on that main Bedford Park campus as well. So by all means, consult your own GP or healthcare, immunisation healthcare provider. But if it's simplicity you need, then then take the 10-minute walk, get the nice coffee, and head up the hill to the GP service there.
I'm not sure if you're going to cover it, but we're just waiting for information from SA Health about where physiotherapy students fit in the COVID vaccine, just in case anyone was going to ask that. But I think at this stage it's looking at the same level as
other health professionals.
But we will let you know as soon as we have more information about that.
That's a really good point. And like Matt said, I'll say it to the microphone that we're still waiting on information about how the COVID vaccination will affect the staging of things, and also potentially how that might link with influenza and other normal flu vaccinations as well. But again, that's not just for physio, that's across all health disciplines, and so all those conversations are happening with our placement team, with SA Health from there. So we will of course let you know as soon as we know anything about that. But generally speaking, something we're really proud of at Flinders is that our placements were able to continue through COVID. So our uni, I think, was the second uni in Australia, Lucy, back to placements and teaching when everything went bad in March last year. And generally, and interstate, we've seen that with other recent lockdowns as well, that actually placements that sit in hospitals, and really sort of that real frontline sort of health provider areas have been able to continue. So we're confident in how we, and that we will have plans to manage that.
I guess the thing just to add to that, I know we're conscious of time, Claire, but is that we need all of you, if you're out on clinical placement this year and something, because we know COVID is just going to go up and down until we have herd immunity in Australia. So if something happens and we go into a circuit breaker or a temporary lockdown or whatever, just don't panic, just be calm, and just wait further information from us. And just rest assured that we'll be working really hard in the background to get information, but sometimes it takes a while because we have to get it from, we wait for the government and SA Health information, and then the university will make a decision on what they're going to do, and then we'll get that information out to you. So sometimes it takes a while, but just sit tight and rest assured that we're working really hard and that we will make an announcement to all of you so you'll all get that information at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping that over this last year we've learned that calmness is the key. Yes, stuff ends. Yes, stuff runs its cycle and does its course. So if you are on placement and something happens, don't sort of, freak out. Don't jump in a car and drive erratically to get back home. Sit tight, because as I've mentioned, actually what happened last year is lots of those placements needed to continue. And I think we've seen a very common sense approach to that across government and across universities, and particularly for you working in healthcare sectors as well. So again, we'll give you all that information as things come up. But basically, we have dealt with that over this last year, and we'll continue to if we need to this year.
And at no time will any of you be seeing a known COVID.
No, correct. No. Yeah, that's right. All right, so compliance deadline, 1st of May. Happens to be a Saturday, but it's the 1st because hopefully you can remember it. I think it's a Saturday. Yes, so we went for the 1st of May, again, partly because of the, the 1st of the month sort of thing that you can hopefully remember. That's where you want everything uploaded to that in-place system, submitted through the placement unit, and to essentially have you clear to go on placement, ready for June. Having said that, there are a couple of things that we want you to get started on this week, ready for teaching next week. So one of those things is the manual task training component. So there is an online module that you do, and you'll do the practical module next week when you see Alex and team in the topic PMF. So you need to have done the online section, got a copy, even if it's a print screen, like, you know, whatever, got the certificate from the online form, which you'll need to submit to the placement unit anyway, but have that ready to show Alex and the team, when you come to teaching next week. I've set a deadline for that, or the team have, of trying to get it done by this Friday morning. That's really just so that on Friday our academic team can actually check that it's done, and that way we can plan ahead and make sure everything's really ready to go for you in your lectures and your pracs on Monday. Okay? I'm not sure how long it takes. I want to say like an hour or something like that.
Just a note as well, that the password that's just on that slide there is incorrect.
My password's incorrect.
Yeah,
Oh,
no, it changed yesterday. So on the PHYT 8002, which I made an announcement yesterday, is the updated password, just so everyone's aware.
And this is the sort of thing which, yes, let us know, come back, because we try and set all this tech stuff up, but then something will happen and passwords will change. So use the updated password. You can get cracking on that this week. Another couple of other compliance things you can get cracking on, and by all means, do them this week if you've got the time and you'd like to. But otherwise, we want you to have done the hand hygiene training by the following week. So we'll just give you one thing to do a week. Ready for PMF prac, and then have done the infection control module ready for the next week. And there you go, you'll have 3 things ticked off your placement list. And of course, infection control and hand hygiene is actually just really important for us being in a room together anyway. So do it early and let's get it out the way. We did get an email yesterday about one of the compliance requirements, which was the Protecting Children's is Everyone's Business module. Essentially, like needing to sort of set up an account and log in from there. But I've been through on the flow page is the professional placement tab at the top, and then there's some additional instructions in the folder, including a password that you can do to try and link on from in there. So there are instructions there. Alex and I test ran it yesterday to make sure the password worked, and we think it all does.
Yeah.
So let us know, but look at that page to sort of, to follow that loop through from there.
So if we've done the hand hygiene and infection control modules for work before, do we need to do them again?
If you've done them for work before and they're the right modules, then no, you don't need to do them again. What I would do though is just click on the links and just double check that it is actually the same thing, because sometimes there'll be different providers that provide everything. So a bit like the police check, if you think you've done it, is worth going through the list and just making sure that it is the same program. But if you've done it for work, then great, that's fine. And again, it will just mean that your date that you review stuff will be 12 months from completion. So if yours expires, say in June this year, because you've done it in the past for work, then you'll just need to do it, again in June to sort of see you through from there. So you've just got to keep track of the timelines from there. I know we're really tight for time, and I think that's just about it. If you want to get super organised and use organised placement uniforms and name badges, that information's available as well. You'll just need that ready for your CP1. What do you need to do now? Here's the take-home messages. Let me know if you are from a regional or a rural area and you would like to go back there or do a placement in a particular area for that 1 week foundational placement. We'll manage the other rural placements later in the year, but particularly for this first week, if you're interested to go back just for 1 week that crosses the break weeks, then let us know and we will proactively go and see if that opportunity is available. Always respond to emails from the work team or our placement team, or act on the instructions in them. Get started on that training that I talked about, including some of those other things like with the police checks and immunisations, which just take a while to get appointments and for things to happen, so organise them early. There's more information on the placement website from there. And I'm a little over, but yes, that's it. Placements in a nutshell. Questions? Probably do a couple of questions now, but otherwise we'll be around at morning tea if there's people that have specific ones they want to ask. Yeah. All right, are there instructions, Matt and team, for morning tea? Just going out? Sorry, instructions for morning tea? So we're probably going to play a 10-minute catch-up all day. But
thanks, guys. You need to move, clearly, but what we'll do, you've got some coffee vouchers. We're meant to be back here at 11, but we should be able to get started maybe a bit later. Maybe if we can make it 10 past 11. Tracy's going to give a quick talk, introduce herself about her role, then we're going to do the meet and greet session. I'll just be aware that we've got those forms floating around. Where are them? No, they're coming.
Yep.
Have we got? I've got the list of people here. Have we got the role sort of list, the one with all your names on it?
Yeah, we've got it back.
Is back there. Has everyone
Signed in.
signed in basically? So there's two ways you need to sign in. One was on the COVID thing where you actually put your name down. The other one was for the one where you just tick your name off. So there's two of them. If you haven't done them both, they're just sitting on the desk out there. Sorry, one thing I just wanted to go back and say, because we are live streaming as it turns out, but I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be watching, the international guys, when you're watching it. The compliance stuff, yes, that Claire was talking about, please don't freak out about that. We're going to talk to you this Thursday about it. So the stuff that is going to be relevant for you guys on internationally is going to be talked about on Thursday. So ignore that bit. Let's introduce everyone. Yes. So come out the front, guys. You should all have coffee vouchers. I'm sure you'll figure out where to go for the coffee. Yeah, so please, follow someone who looks like they know where they're going. Before you do that though, I'll introduce you to, we do actually have, we've got a fairly strong gender bias here at the moment.
And the spots and stripes thing, but you know.
We got the line up in, okay. So Jill Williams, who I think they haven't actually officially met you, but they've been officially yet, have you?
No.
No,
Hello,
so
everyone.
Jill's with us, playing in the musculoskeletal teaching team. We've got Alex Bond, and that was a good opportunity. So Alex has done an email thing on her topic. If you look at your emails, sorry to hijack this one,
That's fine.
but if you haven't got the email that Alex sent you, it's really important that you let us know, or either us know, or even better, let Ask Flinders know and make sure that you are on the notification for all the relevant topics.
Yes.
Otherwise, you miss really
There'll
important
be
stuff.
things that I'll filter out at the end of this week, ready for next week.
That's right. So you should have all got an email. We've got Tam Levy from Neurological. So Tam has started this, although she's an old hat by now. She's taught all of Neurological, the entire topic already. We've got one more week to go. Lucy met Tracy, who's going to talk to you, give a bit more of an introduction to herself after morning tea. And Belinda, who I talked about before, Belinda Lang, who is heading up Caring Futures Institute on the technology theme, technology theme. So come and have a chat with us. I'd say get up, get a coffee if you want. Come back in when you're ready. We want to start, Tracy's going to start talking to you about 5 or maybe 10 past 11. But feel free to come back before that if you get an opportunity and have a chat with us then.
I reckon you might need a little...
Okay, I was going to do this a little bit later, but we've got a bit of extra time. That game never takes as long as I think it's going to, so I should learn my lesson every year. So just a little bit of, I suppose, insight for those of you particularly who have not been at Flinders before about the role that I have in addition to a teaching role. So as Matt said, we have this kind of core group of us, which is Matt, Lucy, Claire and myself, who are kind of our go-to team, if you like, for everything. And my role is the Student Engagement Coordinator. So what does that mean? So those of you who have been in the BHS will probably know what that role is, but for those of you who don't, the Student Engagement Coordinator is kind of a pastoral care kind of role, if you like, but I'm the sort of person that you can come to if you're not sure who to go to. So if you have any concerns about your study, things that are impacting on your ability to learn, and they might be personal things, they might be health, they might be things that are happening at home, they might be mental health issues where, you know, there's some anxiety or depression, they might be things like work-life balance, all of those kind of things. If you're not sure who to go to, come and see me, all right? Because I'm the gatekeeper. So I will tell you who you need to speak to next, and I can help direct you to the right resources to help you solve your problems. It's really important. I won't promise that we can fix everything, okay? Because we can't fix everything.
But we feel very strongly we have not a huge cohort, certainly getting bigger, but we don't have a really huge cohort, and we like to get to know all of you pretty much, although my menopausal brain will probably struggle with 70 odd of you this year, but it's how I stave off dementia by trying to remember you all. We like to think that sort of collegial community that we have in our program is supportive and encouraging to help you get through, because our goal, as we have said, Matt and Claire have said, is to get you through to become fantastic physiotherapists, to serve the community and go out there and change the world if you want to. So if there are any issues, even if there are things you think might start to or have potentially an impact on your learning now that might influence how you manage your study over the next little while, don't hesitate to come and see me. It might be nothing, it might turn out to be nothing, and that's okay. But sometimes it's better to kind of at least let people know. That also goes for anyone who has, I can never remember what they're called, disability access plans, those kind of things. If you've got those from the counselling service, please make sure you let your topic coordinators know, and you can let me know if you like as well. But yeah, if you're not sure about something, if you're worried about anything, please don't hesitate to come and see me. We like to think that we can help most people, and we certainly have had a number of situations over the last few years that we have managed to work out for people so that they could do placement, get through the course and get out the other end again. I will just add, because we've got time and I like to talk, is that I will just add to what Matt said about the workload. So without wanting to freak anybody out, there is a big jump between the undergraduate degree and this program, and there's a lot, because it's only 2 years, it's really intense. We're crushing everything in that we can teach you about physiotherapy into 2 years. So you need to stay on top of it, okay? Like Matt said, don't think you can watch all the lectures at the end of the week, because you'll end up with like about 50 lectures that you won't have looked at, and you won't be able to keep up with your practice or your tutorials. So try and stay on top of it. Again, if there are work-life balance issues or things that you're worried about, come and see one of us. And it doesn't have to be me. The whole team is, as you can probably gather, are incredibly approachable and lovely, supportive people who want to see you learn and succeed. So please don't hesitate to come and see us if you need to, okay? Anything else we can throw in there at the moment?
Well, how long did you want to talk about mentoring?
I can just talk a little bit about that now if you like. Do you want me to?
Yeah, if you'd like to do that.
Okay,
So if you could bring that forward if you think that.
I can at least start, and then we can just do a little bit at the end. Yeah.
Right.
So the other thing that I'm involved in is also the mentoring program. So we've been running a mentoring program for about 3 years now here at the Master of Physio program, and it has been a pretty big success, I will say. Lucy started it, and then I sort of took it over from her. So what we will do is our wonderful second years, a lot of them have volunteered. They were mentored last year by the previous year, and they have offered their services to mentor you for the coming year. So I'll talk a bit probably this afternoon about what a mentor can do, what they can't do for you, if you like. But the main thing is that we just want you to have a think about whether you want to be mentored this year, okay? A mentor can help you settle into the campus. They can talk about how they've managed the workload and how they felt going from undergraduate to a postgraduate degree. They can tell you the times that you really need to get geared up and the times that you don't need to worry quite so much. And they can help you to, I suppose, prepare for things like prac exams, not academically, but just things you need to know. So we've, as I said, a lot of our cohort, our second year cohort, have volunteered to be mentors for you guys this year. This afternoon I'll give you a sheet, just a little slip of paper to say whether you do or do not want to be mentored. It's not compulsory, but I would suggest that you will all get something out of it if you participate in the program. And then just a couple of things. I just want to know whether anybody's got rural or regional contacts, interstate, international, just so we can match you up or try to match you up a little bit with similar people who are from similar sort of backgrounds, if you like, because they will know the sorts of things that you're sort of managing, okay? So we have a few international students in our second year cohort who have very kindly offered to mentor our offshore students as well. Obviously they don't need to show them around the campus just yet, but certainly to talk about workload, and so some of them will be doing some stuff online as well. But the rest of them are, as I say, our cohort here are happy to help you learn your way around Flinders and through the Masters of Physiotherapy program. So have a think about whether you'd like to or not. I would strongly suggest it's a great idea, but then I'm completely biased. But I'll give you a sheet this afternoon, and then you can say yes or no on that. And like I said, just tell me a little bit about where you come from, and that doesn't need to be very specific. Just can be state or region in South Australia, so that we know we can try and match you up. It won't be perfect, but we can try. Okay. And I think that's probably about it. I sort of feel like there's more things I could talk about, I'm sure, but I can't think what they are at the moment. Oh, and the other thing I just wanted to say really quickly, sorry, is when the pictures came up before and everybody sort of, you know, we talked about Jill being in neuro and Tam being in neuro, I just wanted to point out that the lovely Dr. Claire Baldwin and I teach cardiorespiratory, which is the best topic in first year.
So
You just ask the second.
You won't even know that you like it. By the end, you'll be like, I love it.
That's right.
And at least appreciate it.
You'll at least appreciate it, that's right, yes. And of course I'll see some of you into professional practice as well. Matt, anything else you want to?
There is, but only again, form filling stuff. Well, we've got an opportunity, which means I'll probably press press pause, because I don't think people need to watch us fill
Yes,
in.
for those of you who are playing along at home, we're just going to pause the video.
Maybe not hard enough. All right, we're off. You're up first, Victoria?
Yeah, we'll kind of just swap between
No worries. Thanks, guys.
So hi everyone, my name is Victoria and I came up through the BHS MBT program. And
I'm Jordan. I came from Canada, so my accent.
So yeah, we've got kind of different perspectives on both coming from the BHS program and also doing the graduate entry. So this is just some photos we've put together of what you've kind of been doing this year and what you can kind of expect. So there's a whole range of things. Oh, that's fancy. Does that work?
If you take the other.
Oh, hello?
Oh, there
Is
we
it?
go.
Yeah, right.
And it's not as loud.
So you can see there on the picture, we've got a range of things there from cardiorespiratory, we've got some clinical sim, the one that we're laughing with the dummy. There's one of me from rural placement in Streaky Bay. We've also got some recent ones of our one of our neuro practicals where we were working with virtual reality and the goggles and things whatnot. And there's also a picture there of some MSK stuff. So lots of things to look forward to. So the next slide, we've just kind of got some tips and tricks. Obviously, lots of you are coming up from the BHS program, so you already know a lot about Flinders. You might recognise this Facebook page, which is good for textbooks and things like that. You've probably talked already a little bit about the difference between MPT and a Bachelor program. I think for those of you who come up through the BHS, you may have found it's very foundational, bit of everything. But you'll really find this year that all that information you learn is very much required for the MPT, so you can jump straight into doing all the prac fun stuff.
I think another main difference from a bachelor's program is it is quite intensive master's program, so there is a lot of independent work required, a lot of pre-reading and things like that. If you're anything like me through your bachelor's program, leaving anything to the night before definitely does not work here. You do need weeks preparation. You need to keep up on all of your things. You have a bunch of videos to watch, so make sure that you watch all of those before you go to prac classes and things like that. So it is quite intensive and there's a lot for you to do, but just kind of staying on top of it does keep it a little bit easier.
And I know one of the main questions we had last year was, can I still work during the MPT program? And like 100%, most of us work between 10 and 15 hours a week, and I've found that's very achievable, especially through first year. Obviously, second year you get 20 weeks of placement, so it's a bit harder to maintain a part-time job. But yeah, first year very doable. And yeah, just make friends and have fun. Alright, so here's just a few pictures from outside the classroom. So particularly if you aren't from Flinders, or even if you are, there's lots of various opportunities you've got outside the classroom. So there's some pictures of me. I did a program in Cambodia where I was just doing a bit of health promotion and stuff, and that was covered by a Flinders grant. So definitely look into that if you want to do some international opportunities, assuming that COVID won't last forever. And then the main difference from the BHS program to Masters is that there's a lot more socialisation within the cohort, because you do a lot more together, get to know each other a lot better. So that's one from our wine tour that we had last year. And then on the other edge there's just a few pics from various clubs. So I think some of you may already heard of the Flinders Uni Rural Health Society, which is a really good one to join. We'll speak about that a little bit later.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you're going to be with the same 60 plus people for the next 2 years, so just cool little events like that. The wine tour was something that one of our fellow classmates kind of organized. We're having another one this year, so we're looking forward to that. There's like pub crawl coming up and things like that, so just kind of little events like that just makes it a little bit more fun, because again, there's a lot of work, so just kind of, you're all going to be in it together, so just deloading is, it's all good fun.
Alright, so on to the Facebook kind of stuff. So if you want to get your phones out, feel very welcome to. We'd all love you to join this page if you haven't already, this group. So on here, this is more of the open physio student discussion forum. So here people post sales on uniforms, books, various updates on heaps of things. I've kind of listed them there, along with educational and job opportunities. There's lots of sport training gigs that they advertise through that group, which you're all welcome to look into. So this is our student association. On all the pages you've got on your table, there's some little QR links, so if you do miss it on the presentation, just hit the paper there. So this is a really good one to follow and like and sign up for. We've got lots of events coming up this year. If you're around tomorrow or Thursday, we'll also be having an O-Week stall up at Main and Sturt, so come check it out. There's some raffle prizes, lots of freebies, and you'll be able to meet a few of us and ask some more questions if you like. And if you give the Facebook page a like, you'll also get all our updates, which is one of the best ways to keep up to date, along with signing up, and you can do that with the QR code. So the FUPSA also has a AGM and welcome social coming out, which is next week, so if anyone wants to come along, we'll just be eating a bit of food. You can get to know some people, and if you're interested in joining the committee, you're welcome to do that, or even just hear a little bit more about what we do and what we're organising for this year. And we are also doing a pub crawl, which is coming up. I think there's a QR link on your posters around the classroom, so you can also use them. We've got heaps of people coming. If you do have a t-shirt from last year, more than welcome to use that, because it will be exactly the same one this year. And it should be a really good night, so definitely sign up for that one. We've also got some physio merchandise orders. The deadline's coming up end of next week, so get onto that if you're interested. And again, click on that QR link and there'll be a whole range of information and all this, what they look like and all of that. So look into that as well. So these are some other clubs that have a bit of a health focus that we recommend you might look into or sign up if you're interested. Some of them, the Women in Health one is new this year, and they're really trying to get a multidisciplinary cohort kind of thing. At the moment, it's a few med students who are kind of running it, but we've been speaking to them and they're super keen for everyone to join. And it's not just for women. If you're interested in women's health, you can also sign up regardless of your gender. Then we've also got the Flinders Uni Rural Health Society, which hosts a heap of events. I think one coming up, we've got an interdisciplinary conference. There's usually like a wilderness night with like snakes and first aid and all that kind of thing. And then down the bottom there we've also got the Health and Human Rights group, which I don't know a lot about, but it sounds really cool. And if you're interested in that, definitely check out their Facebook page and sign up. So yeah, just a little bit more about the Flinders Rural Health Society. So it's multidisciplinary, lots of events. There's also some scholarship and travel opportunities. So there's sometimes they do rural health visits, so you can go along to some rural high schools and kind of teach them about what physio is, and that's all covered, lots of fun. So yeah, definitely check that out. And if you've got any questions, I'm a physio rep for that club. And then finally, to do with the rural side of things as well, this is SARA, so there's actually free student membership, which we all recommend you sign up for. And a few years ago, or every 2 years, they have a conference, and if you're part of FIRS and you're a member, you can get free, like a whole scholarship package up to the conference, and it's really cool. They talk about lots of different things with that rural focus, so I highly recommend signing up with that one. I got to go to Darwin a few years back, and yeah, amazing. Made lots of contacts, lots of networking opportunities, so definitely recommend that one. And we just wondered whether anyone had any questions about any of that or anything else about the MBT program that you might have. Don't be afraid.
Yeah, if you had any questions about anything that we didn't cover, you do have kind of like a peer mentor that's going to come up. So if you have any specific questions, you can save that for them. But yeah, any general questions about the program? Good job.
The one thing that I'll quickly just mention is placement. So obviously your main placement isn't until the end of the year, which is your first assessed placement. But something I know I would have really liked to know way back when is that definitely don't compare yourself to other people when it comes to placements. All the placements are really different, or your supervisors are really different. Sometimes you might find yourself observing for a week and a half before you really get into the nitty-gritty of it, and it's all totally fine. And that is something that I would have really liked to know in the early stages. So I'll just pass that little piece of advice on.
Yeah, and also I guess about placement, one thing I guess maybe a little study tip, one thing that I like to do throughout first year was kind of anything that I studied, I tried to learn it for placement, because you know everything that you're learning, you're going to be learning specifically for placement and for your work opportunities. So I just kind of like to learn all of the practical stuff as much as possible, and so that when we were out on placement, you could kind of use it, because a lot of your supervisors kind of expect you to know these things. So it's kind of just good to take note of a lot of the practical aspects of what you're learning.
Yeah, I think that's good. No more questions? No questions to start with? All right, thanks everyone for listening. We'll leave those flyers on the table, so throughout the day if you want to check out those QR codes. Sign up, pay up, merch, pub crawl, all of that, and we look forward to seeing you around.
Thanks so much, guys. So the QR code stuff, how we giving access to that?
Yeah, so there's flyers on everyone's table and there's some QR codes.
Awesome. Yeah, couldn't. Again, it's one of those things that I was trying to encourage you, if you're not already a member of at least the Flinders University Physio Student Association, join up. But yeah, I think a lot of those other opportunities would be too good to miss at this point in time. Obviously, you are going to have a lot on your plate, but just you having those as much as a support sort of platform and network would be really helpful as well. So thank you so much, guys, and good luck for the rest of the year.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Now, perfect timing. We've got.
Do you want me to talk while I sit?
Yeah, sure. Oh, we've got the Australian physio. We've got Carolyn here.
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome, Carolyn.
Hi.
I'm just going to set up your presentation.
Fine.
You just come through, and I'll segue. I think Claire will be able to segue best to Caroline.
So it's really great to welcome Carolyn and Jenny from the SA branch of the APA. So while we get their presentation and things set up, I will do a bit of a time fill and tell you about my experience with the APA. Seeing Carolyn reminds me that I'm pretty sure you've sent me an email that I'm meant to be following up on. But that just shows you the great connection I have with our local branch of the APA. So they'll tell you lots about it, but while that's all getting set up, I'll tell you a bit about how my involvement with the APA over the years. So I was a student member, and I think in my final year I joined like a student committee or something like that. And let's be completely honest, I probably did it at the time because I thought, oh, it'd be good to look on my CV, to join and do something and have a leadership role and contribute in some way. But actually, since I've graduated, it's been so much more than that. So I sort of got slightly tapped on the shoulder, semi-invited, to basically, Claire, you should put your hand up and join branch council. So after I'd only been out for maybe 2 years, I put in my application to join the South Australian Branch Council, and there was a great mentorship. I had someone say, you know what, Claire, I reckon you should be Vice President, but don't worry, we'll get another Vice President, and then you can be President in a few years' time. And I thought, oh, okay, there'll be someone else there, that's fantastic. So lo and behold, aside from just being a member, I've found that the best way that I actually get something out of my membership is when I'm involved and I contribute. So it started small, but since then I've found myself, being on branch council, where you just get to meet a whole bunch of other engaged and fabulous sort of physios. You get to learn about areas of the profession that you're not working in. So I had to get across all work cover stuff, didn't I? Stuff happening in SA Health, and it just gave me a beautiful broad perspective of the whole profession, even though I was working in a particular area. So I had that involvement of being on branch council as Vice President, and then I was the South Australian President for a couple of years.
You're the youngest president.
I was the youngest president in the country. Ever. Thanks, Karen. Not sure that I did it that well. I've learned a lot about leadership since then, and I think I would do it better if I had another go this time. Anyway, but having been involved that way was really fantastic, and just being able to meet other people. So I think the idea is that when you are a member, do you know what I mean? You actually get a lot out of it when you engage and participate along the way. So from then I've been part of the cardiorespiratory group, and Tracy and I are on the state chapter, and we organised that. So I've sat as the South Australian Cardio Rep on the national committee. I've found myself organising the National APA conference, and I chaired the cardio group for that, and a whole range of other experiences that just come out from basically getting to know people, putting your hand up and getting involved. So for me, I found it to be a really useful avenue to really sort of understand the advocacy work, the support networks, the professional development, everything that APA has to offer. So I'll gladly link you in and say join, but Carolyn will tell you more about that. Yeah, more about that now.
Yeah, sure. Do I have a little?
You have the little one if you like. Yeah.
No, too long.
Oh. Will the mouse work? You just sort of,
I think I'll write
you can. Yeah. There.
Well, thanks, Claire. Thank you, and thanks for having us today. As Claire introduced, I manage the Australian Physiotherapy's South Australian branch and the Northern Territory. I also look after the Animal Special Interest Group, Animal Physio Group, the Educator Physio Group, the National Pain Group, and the National Orthopaedic Group. So as you can see, and as you know, physiotherapy has got many, many different areas of expertise. In fact, there's 20 of them. So I'll tell you a little bit about the APA right now. You all know APA stands for Australian Physiotherapy Association. It's a little bit similar to the AMA, which is, of course, the Australian Medical Association. And the main roles of the APA, one of the main roles that I'm involved in is advocacy. And that's what the AMA does for GPs. We try to do that for you as physios, because as a large collective voice of 29,000 members, we do have a bit of clout with government and key stakeholders. But let's just go on with this one. Just a few quick facts there. You can see there that we've got 37,000 registered physiotherapists, or nearly 5% of all health practitioners. So we do have quite a strong voice when it comes to the healthcare landscape. We have, as I said, 29,000 members, and we're growing very quickly. In fact, even more so now after COVID. I think people have realised how important it is to have that strong leadership. As you know, you don't want to be out there all by yourself. You want to know what the relevant information is, what you need to do in your business, whether you're an essential service, whether you can do telehealth, a whole heap of things that you need to know in practicality of working in the current climate. A lot more people have joined, even more so now. So we have quite a big percentage, about 70% of all physios belong to the APA. So there must be something good about it. So let's see if we can find something that's relevant for you guys. Okay, PD is one of the biggest drivers. When you finish your university course, you will need to maintain your professional development, and you will want to branch out into all the various areas of specialty and delve right into it and get involved, as Claire did, in cardio, respiratory work or so on, or musculoskeletal or sports or whatever it is that you really want to pursue, paediatrics. So, and you do have to continue your professional development. You'll grow right through your whole career as a physio. You'll continually learn, which is why it's called continuing professional development. And one of the main sources of that development is through the APA. Of course, there's lots of other online courses. You can do international courses and so on, but the APA is right up there with probably the highest standard of educational materials available. And of course, as a member, you get some free PD, and you will pay for your PD, but it will be at discounted rates. As students, you can all join for free, which is good news. We like to introduce you to the APA right at the start, and for the next 4 years, it will be free, and you will be able to access a lot of those lectures online, a lot of free events that we run in our state branches for you, which complement what you're doing at uni already. It's also really good for your CV to show your future employees that you've actually been involved and interested right through your, not only during your studies, but you've been branching out, networking and meeting people as you go along. So, you can also join a national group. That's about $20. Probably a bit early at this stage, unless you have a burning passion to start delving into, say, women's health or paediatrics or something. You might want to start meeting physios who work in that area. So if you join the national group, you can go to their events and you can stand out in the crowd and say, look, I'm only a student yet. I'll be graduating in a couple of years. Got any jobs going? It's a really good opportunity to get your foot in the door, as Claire did. She hasn't stopped. Okay, 20 special interest areas. All of this is on the website. I don't know if any of you have looked at the APA website. It's a pretty good website. It's pretty easy to navigate. Just quickly, you can see it's quite a lot there. SA student program, the SA branch council, that's a bit like the board. The branch council comprises of 10, 12 experienced physios. There might be a couple of people from the uni on it. There's some people from the RA, from the Women's and Children's Hospital on it. We've got some private practice people on it. We have a student rep on it. We have a new grad on it. That branch council meets every 2 months, and we determine what sorts of things we should do for our physiotherapy community. And one of the things that we do run is the SA student program. We also have an SA student committee, and our state's probably the leading state when it comes to looking after our students. I think it's because we've got all our unis are in the central area. We've got Uni SA and you guys, so it's fairly easy to get you all together. And we try to put on a range of introductory type, put your toe in the water type activities. One of our local practices will host a come and try Pilates evening event, for example. We have speakers that might talk about the Maitland approach or neurodynamics. It changes, but that just gives you an idea of what sorts of topics we might cover. There is also this year going to be a national online student webinar program. So last year we had to convert a lot of our face-to-face events into webinars, and that's going to continue. So every student in the country will be able to access the online lectures, probably half a dozen of them during the year. But we also run some face-to-face ones because we like to build the community and have you into our office, get to meet everyone else, start to feel comfortable about looking at the APA as your future uni. When you finish at uni, you need another family to join. Okay, if that makes sense. This won't apply to you. Do you finish this year or next year? 2 years? Next year. This will apply to you next year, and it also applies to all our fourth year students at Uni SA. We put on a couple of special events to get you a little bit more job ready. What do you need? What are employers looking for you? Looking for when they interview you? We might have a mock interview session. We might talk about how to manage your caseload in a private practice setting. We might have a public hospital head explain to you about rotations and what they expect and what your leave conditions are and what your pay conditions will be and things like that. So that series there is quite good just for you to come and ask a whole heap of questions about what to expect when you work in different sectors. Because all of that will happen in the next few years. You'll start to think, do I want to go into a hospital setting first, or I want to go into private practice first, or I want to go back to the country? You need to know, well, it's just good to know where you might be heading and how to plan for that. So then we have also our pub chat, which up until last year we've always had a fantastic event at a pub, hence the name, and you get a chance to chat to probably 30 or 40 different employers who are looking to employ you, basically. And we usually have about 100 students come along. As I said, 30 or 40 key employers from the hospitals, from community health settings, and from private practice. And we have a panel session, and that's where we have a whole heap of questions about what's it like to work here, what's it like to, what do you expect there, and so on. It's a really popular event, and hopefully we will be back in a pub again this year. There's also online, make sure you take some time to look at the website and just scroll through it. Jobs for physios, that's another good one to see what's available around the country job-wise. Members, when you join, even as a free member, you get a free student member, you get a whole heap of extras, discounts. I haven't looked at it for a while. Jenny might know a bit more. But there's, I know if you want to buy a car, for example, you get all these thousands of dollars off through Volkswagen. But you can see there's shopping, business, health, electrical, travel. I think most organisations have these member benefits attached to memberships. It's just like a partnership type thing. And when you do join when you do commence work, your membership does include your public liability insurance, which is normally around about $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year to be insured to practice as a physiotherapist. When you come out in your first year as a new graduate, your membership plus insurance is $475. That goes up in your second year to around $550. The top right through. So what the APA did, which was quite a great initiative, we bought an insurance package, an insurance policy that covers all of our members. It was probably a $20 million package or $10 million package, and we achieved a lot of savings that way. So when you join the APA, you get your insurance rolled into it. And it is a sliding scale, so by the time you are fully working, and you've been working for 4 or 5 years, I think the current fee is $765. That's membership plus your insurance included. So another good reason to join. But I don't think that's the most important reason for joining the, they're your hip pocket reasons for joining the APA. There's another really good reason, as Claire spoke about, and that is trying to advance the profession. Because physiotherapy has been around for over 100 years. It started back in World War I, mostly as massage therapists, and they were very poorly paid. They weren't recognised. They did some fantastic work. They did a lot of work through the polio epidemic. They gradually built their evidence base for what they're doing. There's been researchers, as you know, and you were studying these people in history that have lifted your profession. In 1972, physiotherapy profession got first practice rights, which meant that you didn't have to wait for a GP to send a patient to you. People could come straight to you. I'm currently writing for that for animal physios at the moment. I just wrote a big submission last week to the Primary Industries and Fisheries Department, or to government actually, because currently you cannot take your pet to see a physio without the vet referring first. So if the vet doesn't believe in physio or doesn't have time for physio, in fact the vet often gets the physio done by their practice nurse. That's not physio in our opinion, because you can become an animal physio, you are trained physios, you are registered physios, you are applying your physiotherapy skills to an animal. You're not a practice nurse doing a little bit of mobilisation, a little bit of massage. So those types of issues are the things that we tackle on your behalf. So I work in the advocacy area, and that's why that's the most important thing for me, to join the APA for that family, for that community, for the PV, but also because it's your future really. A lot's happened in the last year. For the first time ever, the APA secured telehealth rights, which means that you will get paid to do a telehealth consult. Up until last year, that wasn't possible. You had to have a face-to-face. And that's not going to happen all the time. It will only happen with some cases. Obviously, you need your face-to-face appointments, but when COVID shut the whole place down, we had to do something, and we got telehealth. So that was your voice speaking to government to get that to happen. Not one person went along. Claire's group also, cardiorespiratory team last year, were amazing in COVID, and they wrote within 5 days the online virtual cardiorespiratory course, because all of a sudden people realised that people going into rehab, if we had turned into a little Italy or whatever, we were going to have a mass of people coming out of intensive care into cardiorespiratory care for months. And that course was commissioned by the New South Wales Department of Health. It went to every state. It has gone around the country to 18 different countries. I don't know how many people have done that course, but I know 35,000 did it in New South Wales in the first week. The APA and people like Claire on Claire's Cardiorespiratory National Committee, I believe, sat down for 5 days straight and wrote that course and turned a face-to-face course into an online course.
Yeah, we've been planning the ICU course over years, so I was on the group and we were like setting up the learning objectives and like preparing the course content, but to move it online was
amazing.
And adapt to a COVID version of the course was
And I think within 5 days it was up.
Yeah, it was pretty quick.
It was amazing. So there's a lot to be proud of, and there's many, many stories like that throughout the history of the APA, and even more so in the last decade. It's just accelerating as more and more people join the APA and more people put their expertise in as office bearers and volunteers. So that's my spiel about advocacy. Have a look on the online. Throughout COVID, it's been incredibly busy because there's so much information. You know, just last year when our state shut for only 3 days, we shut at 2 o'clock and we had to let all of our practices know by 5 o'clock. Are they opening or are they not? Are they essential or should they be going home? What PPE do they have to wear? Do they have to wear face things and so on? They needed a centralised point of information that gets it out there really quickly. We turned to Facebook, so when you become a member, get onto Facebook as well. I don't think we could play that. No, I don't think we need that. But you'll see even on the Facebook page, I might not come up because I'm not a member on this computer. Possibly not. No. But that's where all the COVID information was being posted every 5 minutes, updates, and even now it's still full of what's happening in Victoria, what's happening in WA. It can happen again here, it can happen in any state. Hopefully we've seen the worst of it, but all associations, not just the APA, all associations have really been so super valued over the last year. Even if you belong to the AMA, if you belong to the Nurses Federation, those associations are the ones that have been jumping online and actually phoning Nicholas Spurrier or whoever, or Catherine Turnbull, the Allied Health Chief Advisor. What does it mean for us? What do we have to do? What do we have to tell our members? information for you guys. So it's been sort of an exciting year. It's been a hard year, but it's been quite exciting from an advocacy point of view. So there's many ways to connect with your APA. Jump online, go to Facebook. Once you're a member, you'll be able to join. You'll be able to join the Facebook page. You can consider becoming an SA student rep on our committee. We actually have, for the first time this year, a Flinders uni person who is our chair, and that's Rachel Jeffries, isn't it, Chair? Rachel Jeffries. The student committee, to be honest, were really, really busy before last year. We were running 22 student events in our program in the year. We would average 50 or 60 students at each of those, and those students were charged with actually organising those events, putting together the calendar. And the reason why we get the students to do it is because they would actually contact our main physiotherapists. Say we were doing something on women's health, pelvic floor. They would contact Trish Newman, who's our top women's health person in the state. Say, Trish, would you like to present? We know who will present for us, and they organise it. So they get to know that person, and then they'd thank them, and they would introduce them. So it was all that sort of development and networking that you get out of being on the committee and being responsible for running an event. So that was their main role. Last year, of course, we did go online instead, and we ended up with, I think we got our machine Pilates through in one of them. That was face-to-face. We ended up with 4 online, and they became national webinars instead. So there will be a blended approach this year with, as I said, half a dozen webinars and probably half a dozen face-to-face. And I think that might be about it. But don't worry about the committee. The first step is to become an APA student member. I will ask Claire to email this to all of you. That QR code there, I can't do that, will take you straight to how to join. And literally you just have to fill out your name and address and fill out a few questions. Then you join, then you'll get your membership number, and then you'll be getting all the communications that all of the grown-up physios get, and you'll be on your way. So does anyone have any questions? Good. Well, I hope to see you all again soon, and that you do join. We do have Jenny up the back who looks after all our PD, Jenny Woolsmore. I'm Carolyn Coleman, and we also have Casey Garnett, who no doubt you'll get to see. She's on maternity leave. She'll be back in June. Yeah.
Just a quick question regarding the animal physio stuff.
Yeah.
Once you've finished this, how much more study will it take to become?
Right. Well, animal physio's a bit like where physio business was about 20 or 30 years ago. It's really just developing, but they do. Some of them do the Liverpool course out of London, and they can do that online with this small, short residential school, and it's about a year. It's a bit like going off and studying something else. You can, up until recently, we had level 1 and level 2 APA courses. They're quite long courses. They're probably 4 days and another 4 days of intensive course. That would get you across the line to say, you see, within physio, it's up to you to, your scope of practice is what you've been trained in. So animal physio is not set in stone, but we've only just put in, what defines somebody who is treating animals is the fact that they've done some sort of postgrad course, usually the Liverpool course or a South African course. Australia used to have one in Queensland, and that's folded. Or they've done the APA level courses. Now we're currently rewriting those, and they might not be up again for another couple of years because they're very long courses. Because what you're doing is you're using your physiotherapy knowledge, but you're going to have to do all the anatomy of all the canines and cats and so on. So you've got to do quite a bit of extra study, but enough to then put your foot in the door and say, look, I'm confident I can treat an animal. There's no APRA though, so we're not going to say, oh, you didn't do it, but the animal group would expect you to have done sort of postgrad or the APA courses. It's similar, in actual fact, it's a good question. The APA is currently working on a big project called Career Pathway, and each of those 20 groups are being mapped as to what you would expect people to sort of follow. You're all going to take different paths, and you're going to be working with different experienced physios, and all that is your CPD as well. You can have part of your CPD having a mentor and reading journals and researching things from international and so on, but the APA is trying to map that career pathway. Some pathways are very clear. Sports, for example, it's been around a long time. Sports, APA level 1, level 2, postgrad at Uni SA, masters in whatever it's called, and so on.
Must these days.
Musk, is it? Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
no.
and you have to be able to show you've got that pathway to become an Olympic sports physio. Same as women's health, they're mapping theirs. Pain are mapping theirs. Some groups are much more advanced than others, but it's a huge body of work. Because up until now it's been more like, yeah, everyone knows who's experienced, but how did they get there? If that makes sense. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you very much, Caroline.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for having us today. And
Okay, guys, the final speakers before lunch are from Flinders University Student Association, and so I'd like to welcome you to, or introduce you to Josh and Sean. Come on up, and can you, you probably might want to introduce yourselves a little bit more thoroughly than that. Sure. Thanks, guys.
Hello. Woo. So, hi everyone. My name's Sean. I'm your student president. So my job is to work for you all, and that's essentially what our student association does. It's your representation and advocacy body on campus. I'm going to talk for a bit while Josh figures out how to get a PowerPoint up. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get through this pretty quickly so you can all go to lunch. But essentially it's just to get you all the basic information to be able to access all the cool stuff we do and also know what to come to us with if you need anything. We're getting there.
Still loading up. Can I do anything? Is it
Oh,
USB?
there we go.
Looks like I'm wearing like a matching thing because we've got the yellow, but this is visitor because we just came from speech path and they're in the like hospital and you have to have like a special sticker. Cool, we got it all up. Wonderful. So yeah, so the main components of FUSA is we've got student council, which I'm the president of, so that's your student representatives on campus. We have 19 representatives. This, we have things from educations officer, women's officer, queer officer. We have an array of other roles and duties of those people, and their job is all to help you and represent you. We have a call officer Bedford Park. We also have a bunch of other services that we'll go through in detail as we get through this, but essentially my job is to pick, and like if you come to me with any issue or I find issues that are going on campus, my job is to advocate and make things happen. One of the things I quickly want to show while I can is one of the big things I'm working on this week is obviously getting rid of the parking price hikes, and that's one of the things that I am working on a lot, so I'm just going to show you a quick video instead of me talking about it because I talk too fast and I was forced to slow down for this.
We are calling on Flinders University Vice-Chancellor to revoke changes in car park prices. Following over 1,000 petition signatures in 1 week from the announcement, students and staff have spoken out about the surprise price hike for those who choose Flinders as the place to study or work. Flinders University announced a campus car parking price hike from $200 to $420 for students and $200 to $1,300 for staff. These price hikes are effectively pay cuts for staff and fee increases for students, making parking unaffordable for many will also significantly jeopardize the safety of students, especially those forced to walk or take public transport after dark. We are calling on the Flinders University President and Vice-Chancellor Colin Sterling to stop the massive parking price hikes, implement a concession rate for low-income earners and healthcare card holders, allocate a minimum of $50,000 worth of parking permits for students accessing financial assistance, increase Flinders loop bus services after hours and outside of semesters, and allocate a further $50,000 worth of financial assistance for students with disabilities who do not qualify for a South Australian disability parking permit. So please, sign the petition. Help us make Flinders a place all students can participate in and stop the parking price hikes.
And
We are.
Is this not on? Have I turned it off? Hello? I don't think this is working. Wait. I don't know.
Hello?
Yeah, it's working. Okay, cool. So yeah, stuff like that. So when you bring, they can be big issues like parking, or they can be small stuff like course-related things, and my job is to essentially advocate for you and make sure that gets changed. I sit on most university committees that exist at the higher levels, so it means I'm generally in the room where all these decisions are made. The parking one was only made by a senior executive team, so that means I was not allowed to be a part of that decision. But it means that, yeah, I can generally get to these issues before they happen, but a lot of the time if they do happen and I'm not aware of them, please come to me and let me know, because my job is to work for you, and I'm here most days from ridiculous times of the morning sometimes until about 10 o'clock at night, so I'm here most of the time, including weekends. So never be afraid to come and see me. Here comes your lunch, so let's speed this up as quickly as possible, and I'll pass on to Josh.
Hey everyone. So look, Physio also run all the non-sporting clubs. Adam is our club's manager, and look, if you wanted more information on how to join or start a club, you can speak to him. Otherwise, our website has quite a comprehensive list of all the different clubs and things going on there. Student Assist, which is where I work, so we're a free, independent, confidential service. Sometimes things go wrong when you're here in your studies. Sometimes policies and procedures haven't been followed, especially around like placements and things like that. So if something happened, you can call us, speak to us. We know we've got a really good sort of working knowledge of the policies and procedures of the university, so we're best placed to advise you and give guidance about what to do. We can attend meetings with you. We've been to all sorts of meetings in the university, met with the deans of colleges, so if anything ever went wrong, you can speak to us. And I've got a video that kind of explains a little bit more.
Being a uni student is both rewarding and challenging. You'll learn heaps and meet amazing people who'll be your friends for life. But sometimes things don't run so smoothly with your studies or your finances. Student Assist can help you resolve these problems. We can help you with academic difficulties, like issues with your grade for an assignment, concerns that you might fail your placement, academic integrity issues, like having referenced an idea incorrectly, or how to deal with failing a topic. We understand university policies and can offer advice to get your studies back on track. We can also help you with finances. When you can't pay your bills and your electricity is about to be cut off, when your credit card gets a workout, when you're overwhelmed by bills, our financial counsellor can help you get most debts under control. We can provide you with emergency assistance like food parcels and metro cards, and also interest-free loans to help with study expenses. Student Assist is here to help, regardless of your campus location or study mode. If you run into problems, don't hesitate to contact us, and then we can help you make the most out of uni.
Yeah, so these are sort of some of the common issues that we have. And I'd probably just say to you that a lot of these issues are really easily resolved. And that we've got your back if something goes wrong. So come and speak to us. You know, it's all confidential, nothing shared, and yeah, there's a lot of good people working in the university. So yeah, we're well placed to help. We've also got a financial counsellor, Helen, who's fantastic. Obviously, when you're studying, finances can be pretty tight, especially around placements. We've got things like interest-free student loans, up to $500. I know maybe your laptop conks out, you need some money quick to sort something out. We can help you out with that. We've also do food parcels, vouchers for Woolworths, Metro cards. Things are a bit tight, we can help you out with that. Student reps, so we've got a student representation development officer. So she runs grants of up to $800 to provide training for students if they're interested in like leadership roles or cultural training around things. There's a bit more information on our website on that if you're interested. And O-Week, obviously this week, so we've got a media team and events team that run events on campus. I haven't got too much information about any other things going on because of COVID and everything. I think it's all up in the air. But if you register with us on our website, you get like a newsletter, and it'll be put out there when we're running things. And yeah, that's the details. And yeah,
enjoy lunch.
Yeah, thanks, and enjoy your lunch.
Thanks, guys. No problem. Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. So, well done. You got through the morning, and we've got lunch at the back here. We could probably pause the thinking, but it is actually. I'll do a flow run through on the. Okay, we're back on the recording thing because we're just talking through some flow related information. Yes, so if we go to MSK, what you'll see. Should we start again? No, let's not do that. If we go back up, so what you'll see at the top here are these 5 different links. And so you'll see them again on all your PHYT topics. And the first one is the one I was referring to earlier when I said you can get to the Health Counselling and Disability Services site. So that's just a direct link to there. Now, if you go to any of the other 4, they are going to provide you with some really critical information. And so I can't remember if I've put any announcements out to you guys from there. I don't think I have, because you've only just been able to access it this week, is what my working assumption has been. And so anything sort of course related, so what was the question about what was going on?
Where the slides were going to be?
Where the slides were going to be for today, thank you. They'll be up here. So I'll put them up here, and if I'm got my act together, I'll probably put an announcement out as well saying that I've done them and that you can find them here, and I'll probably even attach them to the announcement. So this is sort of a repository, a go-to for information. It's got that handbook on it. It's got various policies related directly to physiotherapy. It's got staff details, when we work, because as we mentioned, most of us are part-time. The calendar, so all of that stuff. You can find, of course, information. We've also got a resources page, which is probably the other one you'd find
that needs to be updated.
Potentially helpful. It's sort of a handbook. Maybe the calendar hasn't. And that has things like resource clinical placement, but they're
clinical. Do you want placement?
So these are no. Hang on.
This is
resource. Yeah. So this will be stuff maybe from undergraduate topics. So there's pain science information. There may be stuff that's clinically useful to help supplement your placement experiences. So it won't be the sort of administrative side of things, how to do compliance and how to make sure you tick all the right boxes to get on placement. It'll just be this, like for example, some information on hydrotherapy. There'll be some paediatric information. There'll be sort of a range of different resources there to help you. There's some, as I say, the pain science stuff from the Bachelor will be there to help you for a lot of the MSK stuff that if you wanted to follow up that. So there's previous recordings as well as the PDFs. And there's exercise phys resources there as well. So again, largely based on the material. So a lot of you guys already got it, a lot of you don't though, and it's not a bad place to just have all that relevant information. There's then clinical placement site, which probably won't be relevant to you so much until you start placements. And Claire will give you some notifications about when to look up all that. And then there's the careers and volunteer opportunities. And that's something you can always look at as well. So often if there's an allied health assistant job going, or there's a sports trainer position going, or you're coming to the end of your, so at the end of the year we post all the new grad positions up there as well. And so that's where all that information goes. So you can access those sites either from your flow page or from any of the PHYT topics. I know so that's a lot of information. You're only going to absorb a bit of it, which is fine, but you'll just, once you start getting sort of familiar with the sites, it'll make a lot more sense. Okay. Which is a good segue to me stopping talking and giving information and doing some photos,
Yep.
which we
Before
can,
Andy gets back.
before,
Do you want to do that?
I'll put something on the course
Okay.
information page.
All right, so for those of you who don't know much about Flow and went on the tour, Matt's going to put some stuff up for you so that you can navigate your way around the Flow pages. But if you just have a little look at each of the ones for your topic, most of them are reasonably easy to find a way around. The main thing is to read the introductory information at the top of each of the Flow page, and there should be a little introductory video as well, so try and watch those and not laugh too much. Okay, so I'm just going to finish off by talking a little bit more. First of all, I'm just going to mention about student representatives because I meant to talk about that this morning and I forgot, and then I'm going to ask you to just fill in a little sheet of paper about mentoring. So the student reps, so you met Victoria and Jordan this morning, who are our outgoing first year student reps. So we're just in the process of organising our new second year reps. In a couple of weeks' time, when you've had a bit of an opportunity to know each other a little bit more and sort of settle in, if you like, I'm going to call for volunteers, nominees for student representatives for your first year cohort. So what we would like to do is get at least 2, if possible, and I don't mind if there's lots more, but then we'll have a poll. And you may have to write a little spiel about yourself so that people know who you are and what you stand for. As Matt said, the student representatives, and Victoria would have told you about that anyway, but they have a meeting with us a few times a year, and it's an opportunity. The student reps are people you can go and talk to about feeding back about any issues to do with the course and with the learning that affect everybody rather than just you individually. And then they bring those to Matt or myself. So have a think about whether you'd like to. It's a leadership position, looks good on your CV, so just have a think about that. Right, now mentoring, unfortunately I can't get my slides up, which is a bit of a boo-boo, but anyway. Just a reminder again that mentoring program, the second years have volunteered to mentor you guys. And what I want to know today really is whether you want to be mentored or not. As I said, there's lots of advantages to it, both for mentors and mentees. And what you will get out of it is an insider's view on how the teaching works, what the workload is like, what sort of work-life balance you can achieve, all those kind of things. Your mentors are not your teachers. They're not there to teach you. They're not your counsellors, but they are a student's view on workload and work-life balance in the course itself. So you'll get lots of really good information from them. The other thing I will say for the second years is that they went through COVID up to their eyeballs last year. So they have had lots of experience about how to change direction really quickly, how to be flexible, and how to adapt to online learning. And even though the vaccinations have started rolling out and things are probably going to look on the up, you just don't know. So we still need to have that kind of flexible approach where if we have to, we may need to, if there's another lockdown or a circuit breaker, we may still need to revert to online learning for hopefully only a short period of time. So just remember that they have been through it all, so they have some really good insights to all of that stuff. And hopefully you won't have to go through any of that, but you just never know. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just hand around a little bit of paper, and really I just want you to fill it in. You just put your name on there. There's a line that says you would like to be or not like to be mentored this year, so you circle the one you do want. And then if you are from Adelaide Metropolitan, you don't need to put anything in there, but if you are from the country, you want to put the region that you come from. If you're from interstate, what state you're from, and if you're from overseas, what country you're from, and then I will try my best to match you up with people who might be able to sort of be in a similar boat. Okay? And I think that's all I need to say about that. I'll hand those out now. And Matt, I think that's it.
That's it. All right. Okay, so as part of the university requirement, we need to just provide you with the work health and safety. We've got a face-to-face. It's fairly brief. I'm now going to have to try and find it because I don't think I logged in. access the shared drive?
No, I don't do anything.
Why not?
Okay, who hasn't got one? You got that? Last thing I meant to say, sorry. One of the benefits, I suppose, is, or one of the things that you'll get by being mentored is, I meant to read this out earlier, so I'm sorry, helping establish social networks and strategies for successful study, adaptation to new workload, enhancing physical and academic orientation, personal and wellbeing skills, passing on knowledge of institutional policies and procedures, and reducing social isolation and making you feel like you belong. So that's the benefits of being mentored. The other thing is that we will be, just so that you know, I think I've put it up somewhere, can't remember where, that you will be meeting your mentors on the 19th of March. Once I've matched everybody up, you'll get a coffee voucher each. And there'll be a short presentation, and then I'll match you up with your mentors, and then you go off and meet with them and have a coffee and get to know them. Okay? So you need to be available. I think it's 10:30. It's between your teaching anyway. 10:30 to 12 or something or other on Friday the 19th of March. So make sure that you're free for that if you want to meet your mentor.
Okay. All right, guys. So this is the Work Health and Safety lecture presentation. We're really around so I was talking about emergency evacuation procedures. We had one last week, a drill. So hopefully we won't have another one too soon, and hopefully we'll never have a real one. But anyway, in case we do, you need to know what to do, and also some other important information. So security is just a phone call away, 24/7 available. So if you find yourself on campus late, or if you're locked somewhere in or out or somewhere where you need to be, security is the place to go, and so you can contact that number, and it's also on the back of your student card. Obviously, so if there is an emergency, you call 000. Can you also let the security know after you've called? So if there's notified for a fire or ambulance, obviously it's pretty hard to direct them if you say you're at Flinders University. So if you can contact security after, and then they'll be able to communicate with the emergency services to ensure that they are able to get to the correct location. We've got first aiders available. We're all first aiders actually, aren't we? So we've all done our first, all the staff have done their first aid certification, and the second years have all done theirs. You'll have all done some of you have done it, but we'll all do it in preparation for your placements. But there's a list of others on there, but as I say, it's not so relevant for us. Any incidents, accidents or injuries, let us know as soon as possible. Just talk to us. So the only one that, I don't know if you've heard any, the worst I've had so far is people reacting to tape, for example. So it's just nice to know. So some people have quite a nasty reaction to tape. So it's good if we know that sort of thing, just to follow up, make sure it's all okay. But if something a bit worse happens, if you slip downstairs, or one of the plinths collapses and is even a near miss, let your lecturer know, or feel free to let me know timely, because we need to do something about it. There's a link there, so I'll put this one will also end up on the course information flow site. There's also a link there for more information around work health and safety related issues. Now, in terms of the evacuation procedure, this is it. I don't know, anyone seen this?
I'm sure they've been chest. People have all seen them.
You have?
I don't even know who that guy is, but I run across him in the corridor occasionally.
Oh, you do, yeah.
I know who it is. One of the acting guys.
Either way, there are definitely people that haven't seen it. Here it is.
Hi, today I'm here to talk to you about the emergency evacuation procedures at Flinders Sturt. This short video will guide you through what to do in the event of an emergency to ensure an orderly and safe evacuation.
All right, the principles of...
When you hear the alert tone, please cease interfloor movement and await further instructions via the public announcement system or from the warden.
Okay, that will be our first warning signal. Please stay calm and please involve.
When you hear the evacuation tone, please immediately cease what you are doing, pack up your personal belongings, and listen to your lecturer or the warden for instructions on evacuating the building. Look for the green running man and exit signs, and ensure you take the most direct route to exit the building while avoiding areas that may be affected by fire. It is important not to run when leaving the building. Lifts cannot be used in the case of a fire. Please use the stairs. Disabled, aged and injured persons who are unable to descend stairs should take refuge in the stairwell, ensuring not to block the way out. Staff will advise the fire service accordingly. Once you have exited the building, please move to the assembly point at the southeast corner of the oval. Please do not return to the building until you have been told it is safe to do so. If you have any questions about this presentation, please ask your lecturer or warden.
Okay, that's what we do. So the oval's down here. What'll happen, and I can be very surprised if you guys don't end up being caught up in it, is there'll be at least a drill. And so what'll happen is the alarms go off. Just your lecturer will then show you the way to the oval. So there's not an awful lot you need to worry about. And that's it. So that's all I've got for today in terms of information I want to give to you guys. Feel free to hang around, ask questions if you've got any. I'll be here, hang around for as long as you like. It's really good to meet you all, and really good to see guys that I've met before in the Bachelor program come through. I wish you all the very best of luck for the year ahead. Let's keep our fingers crossed that it's fairly uninterrupted. And yes, as I say, don't be frightened to ask. If you've got any concerns, come out and ask us. And don't be frightened to try. Don't be frightened to put yourself out there. Make the most of this opportunity. It's going to go by really quickly. And there's a lot of support that you can lean on along the way. So thank you guys. And yeah, of course. Oh, sorry, yes. The practical booklets, they should have been ready yesterday. So short answer is don't print them out. You will get a hard copy of them. I was hoping to get them yesterday. They don't look like they've arrived. Oh no, sorry, I've asked for them for next Monday, first week. So they should be ready for you in the practical on Tuesday. And I'll update you around the location of Tuesday's MSP1 session, regardless of whether it stays at REPAT or if it moves here. So we're doing what I can to get it here. Anything else, guys?
Just quickly with the practicals in the clinical labs, is there any sort of attire, like footwear and...
Yeah, so there is. So the short answer is there is a protocol, or that I'd really like you all to read on the flow site. Have we lost it? Got that. So in the getting started section, there is a if you go down where the practicals and tutorials section is, you'll see, this is my view, so you won't see these things. You'll see these bottom three documents, or three activities. And so this physiotherapy teaching space protocol doesn't really sound like answering the question you asked, but it will. So it's got information about attire and everything. Essentially, it's a really good question. When we're doing the techniques, it's really important that you're in clothing that allows you to be able to, or allow your partner, I guess, to get the most out of the practical. Generally, you want to be able to see the affected area when feasible. So generally shorts, sports tops are appropriate for females. In terms of, we don't care too much about clothes, shoes and all that sort of, we don't, in the physio lab, it's not so important. We're not really dealing with equipment or anything like that. But have a look in there. So the main thing is just, in order to help your partner out, wear appropriate clothing. The other thing I need to tell you, thank you for reminding me, is bring your own towel. Bring a towel for the prac sessions. The way the prac sessions are set up, we're not going to be doing practical techniques every session. We're going to have one session a week in MSP will be on case study development and clinical reasoning most of the time, and the other session is going to be on your practical techniques. But I'd routinely bring a towel for both sessions, just so you get in the habit. If you only want to bring it for the techniques session, then that's fine, and that's generally on the Friday. But the prac book will pretty clearly tell you what you're going to be doing for that particular week. So each of your practical sessions are outlined in the prac book, and I also put up any preparatory activity on flow for the relevant week's module. So if we look, for example, let's see how close I've got. So for the practical preparation, you need to do these activities. Watch this subjective examination video, for example. And so you can get an idea about what the content is going to be. Best source of truth is going to be the prac book. And if you're doing practical techniques, bring a towel. The towel's useful because it's much better to lie on a towel rather than just a vinyl plinth. You stick to vinyl plinths, particularly when it gets hot. And also, you just need to wipe down areas. And now with COVID, it's just too challenging for us to be providing towels all the time. So bring your own towel. So yeah, all that information's there. Judy, did you have another one?
Yeah, just if you happen to know, how do we find the login details for the Valerie Travers uniform over at the site?
I don't know what it is, but I didn't hear what site?
The Valerie Travers uniform, the placement uniform. When you order your placement uniform.
Oh, okay.
You go to their site, you go to Fitness Uni, pick Physio, but then you need to log in. And in the flow it said it was a supply.
Oh,
Wasn't
get
that
onto
the
it.
thing that the password was changed for?
Oh, is that? What's that? Well, Claire will.
Excuse me then.
Yeah. Good try that. Thanks for putting it in. Well, failing forward, that's what we like. So Claire will let you know. Because you're not going to need your placement tops until generally you wear them for your prac exams. It's probably the first time you use them, and that's obviously a fair way down. Well, but it'd be nice to if you want to wear it during the day, that's fine. All right, guys. All right. Well done. So great to meet you all. Good luck for the year, and we will see you all again next week. Thank you very much. Applause for this one.